I believe we are recording and live on both platforms. This is the Oskar Quentin Show, where I debate people about politics on TikTok live. Also related subject matters at my discretion. It's usually a pretty crazy show, and we'll see how it is today. Today's an interesting day. It's the president's birthday. That Freedom 250 UFC fight thing is happening today. Very trashy what Trump has done with the White House. I've got some opinions on that. I think I've got some bigger opinions today about No King's Day, because it's also supposed to be No King's Day. Throwing No King's Day on the president's birthday was, I think, a smart move. Not planning any actual protests for No King's Day was, I think, very silly. I'm pretty critical of the fact that there's just an online live streamed concert that's happening in New York, and they wanted people to organize watch parties. This seems very much stay home or die, in my opinion. Like, is that really where we're at? We're not doing the protests outside anymore? I'm kind of mad at the No Kings people. I don't like to sow division on the left. I really do try to preach a message of unity most of the time. But we protesters have some shit to figure out. So anyway, that's what's on my mind as we start the show on this particular Sunday. Trump is too old. Somebody get a tally going. Let's see how many times the chuds ask me today, well, was Biden too old? And I can just be like, yeah, he was. Pretty disarming. They're always like, well, Biden was too old. And I'm like, I agree. It was lame that it's lame that the Democrats picked him. Lame that I had to vote for him. Lame that I was gonna vote for him a second time. Lame that he only gave Kamala Harris 107 days. Lame that he basically made the choice de facto Kamala Harris by only giving her 107 days, so we couldn't primary another candidate. We'll see if I have to defend the fact that I'm a reasonable person today, but we're gonna get right into calls by talking to CFMLST. I don't think that's a pronounceable username, but we're gonna see if we get a debate out of it. Hello, how old are you?
I'm 22.
22. Do you support Trump?
Yes. So, yeah.
So, okay. I mean, doesn't sound like you want him to be removed from office, which is kind of...
I'm just against the war in Iran. That's really what I'm really against war.
Sure. I think a lot of Trump supporters are against the war in Iran. He's lost a lot of support on that. But do you think he should stay president?
Do I think he should stay president?
Yeah, I don't think he's fit to serve. I don't think he should be president anymore.
I think for the better candidate than Kamala, yes. But if there was there was someone else, then no.
Well, I'm actually talking about the difference not between him and the candidate that lost the election 2 years ago, but the vice president who's next in line to become president if Donald Trump is removed from office. I'm asking you if
definitely.
You think he should be impeached?
Donald Trump?
Yeah.
No, I think J.D. Vance is worse.
Oh, well, okay. In what ways?
Well, when Trump ran for the first time, J.D. Vance said no, he's a bigot, he's a filthy bigot, didn't vote for him. Voted for Hillary Clinton. In 2020, he voted for Joe Biden. He said that Trump is literally a creep, and I think he's a weirdo. And then randomly, he voted for Trump this term. Again, why would he vote for someone he hated so much? Your mind doesn't change like that after 8 years because of the matter of fact, he just wants to do it. And again, for everything he's been saying, it contradicts everything he meant from his past experiences. He just contradicts. He was against the death penalty. Now he's for the death penalty.
Okay.
He's for the death penalty.
I hear you. Do you think that Donald Trump is any more consistent than that?
More consistent than that? I think not as much, but he's better than J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance has no intellectual intelligence.
The words out of your mouth just now were not as much, but better. Which is it?
So he's better than J.D. Vance. Not by much, but he's better. Overall, he's better than J.D. Vance.
Okay, but we were specifically talking about his consistency, because the thing that you brought up that you didn't like that Trump did was the war in Iran, which is something he was inconsistent on. As long as, 15 years ago, he was saying that Obama would be a terrible president if Obama did what Trump himself ended up doing, which is failing.
But Obama did the same thing. He did 7 strikes without Congress's approval. Donald Trump only did 1. So again, he was worse in the scenario. If you want to go from fact to fact.
I'm sorry. Did you say that Donald Trump only struck Iran once?
No, I'm saying this without Congress approval. Okay, without Congress approval, did Obama strike the Middle East?
The reason the word Obama came out of my mouth is because Donald Trump said...
to answer the question, did Obama strike the Middle East without Congress approval?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so if he's like that,
that's a pivot away from what I was talking about, which is Donald Trump's inconsistency about what he himself said he was going to do.
Obama's inconsistent.
Well, thank goodness he retired from politics 10 years ago. I'm glad that we don't need to worry about that inconsistent Obama. Let's talk about Donald Trump.
Harris, her contradictions. If you want to go to Kamala Harris, her contradictions.
Okay, now you're moving on. Okay, yeah, you're talking fast and you're moving past the thing I brought up, which is that Donald Trump himself said that Obama would be a bad president if he did what Trump ended up doing himself. Doesn't matter that Obama was the person. There could have been anybody he said that about. We're talking about what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump, as recently as on the campaign trail before his current term, said that he wasn't going to start wars. You yourself said you're unhappy about the war in Iran, so I don't need to drill it that hard, but you brought up J.D. Vance's inconsistency, because I agree. I think that J.D. Vance is a spineless little twerp who doesn't care about any of the things he says. He just wants power and control in the Republican Party, and for a long time he thought that going away from Trump, because Trump was such a madman, such a Hitler-esque character, that it would be bad to support him. When he realized that the Trump train was the winning one, he got on board. So yes, I agree with your assessment of all of that. I don't think that Donald Trump is any more consistent.
So yeah, okay. then I'll ask you this, simply for the fact. This year so far, and I want that unalive. You can search it up. Who has unalived more people this year, ICE or trans people?
So, sorry, I was distracted by a tech issue because my chat's not showing on the YouTube stream. Ask your question again.
Who's unalive more people, ICE or trans people? This year.
This year, both are going to be pretty small numbers. I think probably ICE.
They're close. They're close. I think trans have one more. The Tumber Ridge pew wing in Canada unalive 8 people, and the ICE ring thing that unalived a person. ICE has only done 8 to 9 for trans people. So is that significant numbers?
How many trans people are there?
Oh, they're like less than 1%, but they're still doing way more stuff.
Okay, let's say that it's about 1%. How many people live in the country?
How many people live in the country? Mm-hmm. Well, it grows every single day, like hundreds of millions. Hundreds of millions.
Do you know what the first digit of the number is?
I would probably say around 5 to 6.
5 to 600 million people you think live in the United States?
Yes.
Okay, it's about 350, roughly, just rounding to the nearest 50 million, so we can keep the math easy. What's 1% of 350 million?
What's 1%? I don't know, probably around 1 point something million? Probably around 3 point something?
3.5 million is 1% of 350 million. Okay, so we've got 3.5 million, roughly, super back of the envelope math here, just roughly roughing it out, about a few million trans people we're talking about, right?
Yes.
How many ICE agents are there?
Probably a few thousand.
They're about 30,000. So let's be generous and say that it's 35,000. How many times more than 35,000 is 3.5 million?
How many times?
Yeah, what number would you have to multiply 35,000 by to get to?
I'm just
let's do it together. Let's do it together. Math lesson. Okay, what happens if you multiply 35,000 by 10? What number do you get?
35,000 times by 10. Well, hold on. 30, 60, 98. You're gonna make. Hold on.
You can just add a 0. That's a fun little trick for multiplying by 10. You can just add a 0 to the end.
I'm not doing math with you. I'm not doing math with you.
Oh, then you shouldn't have brought up all these numbers about trans people and ICE agents, because here we are talking about them, and you're overwhelmed by multiple. You're overwhelmed by multiple. Right? I'm gonna finish my math example. I'm gonna get to the end of it, but I'm just gonna point out that it is hilarious that you brought me data and you're overwhelmed by multiplying by 10. If we multiply 35,000 by 10, we don't get all the way to 3.5 million. We only get to 350,000. So we have to multiply by 10 again to get to 3.5 million. So there's about 100 times as many trans people as ICE agents.
So let me ask you that. Okay.
No, I'm not gonna let you ask something else. I'm gonna insist that you. I'm asking something else. No, I'm just gonna check it.
Else.
I asked if you were following me. Are you following me? That there's about 100 times as many trans people as ICE agents.
Yes, but if they're so peaceful and loving, why do they do crime? Why are they so mentally insane that they have to unalive innocent people? Why did a trans person?
Excuse me.
Why did a trans person unalive 8 people? Why did that trans person unalive her family and 7 other students? Why did she put a person in the hospital? Why did she do that?
9 minutes into the show and we already got a crash out. Today's a good day, everybody.
Why did she do that? Answer me. Why did a trans person, a mentally ill person that deserves to be 6 feet under and spat on, unalive 8 innocent children?
If that happened, that's real bad. I don't know. I would actually prefer that person not die so that we could study them if that happened. I don't know what case you're talking about, though.
So, Tumber Ridge shooting again? So again,
sorry, I'm going to continue the math example. After I clear my throat.
What's the fifth planet? What's the fifth planet away from the sun?
Wait, Mars, Jupiter.
Can you spell pseudo hypotheticism? Can you spell that? No,
I'm not interested in that
shut
word.
Shut the fuck up, nigger.
All right, we got a slur and run because he was afraid of the math. Yeah, okay. You know what? We're not gonna talk to Bobby's Truth until just a second. I'm gonna remind everybody that if you like the crash outs, if you like me making people do basic math to defend their points, you can go to the link tree in my bio and follow me on the other platforms. That supports me for free. You can go follow my backup TikTok accounts, Oskar Quentin 2 and Oskar Quentin Music. Those are things that really, help me with some of my goals and make sure that the platform is successful and I still get to do the show if this account gets banned, which happens sometimes. Hasn't happened in a while. I'm just getting nervous about it. And if you want to support the show in a material way, you can send me some money on Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon, because this show is my full-time job. So having conversations with people like the person who just called in is what I do. And if you like me doing it, you can support me doing it with your wallet, because I got bills to pay. We're going to talk to Bobby's Truth, who I've definitely spoken to before, but I don't remember who he is. I never remember who they are. How old are you? Are you driving?
Me? No.
I heard a turn signal.
No.
Okay. Just because it's not allowed on TikTok Live. There's a lot of background noise, though. Can you do something about the background noise? Do you have a Bluetooth device connected?
Yep.
Could you take a moment to disconnect it? I don't believe him. I'm sorry, Bobby's Truth. I believe that you're driving a car. You need to come back without the background noise, and that will convince me that you're not driving a car. Nobody in the queue. Maybe the people who were in the queue left because they realized I was going to maybe make them do math. That guy couldn't multiply by 10. I don't like... Let's talk about this for a moment because the queue's empty. So it's going to be the topic for just a moment here, which is that I'm kind of off-put by a lot of the hosts attacking people's intelligence in just like a broad, you're so stupid kind of way. But if you can't multiply by 10, I'm sorry, but I think being able to multiply by 10 is a prerequisite to look at data about criminality. But we've got some people in the queue, so I'm not going to stick on it. We're going to talk to Ole Whitey, who's been on the show before, but he's going to remind me exactly how old Whitey is. Once he connects, how old are you?
70.
70, that's right. What are we talking about today?
I see your little thing says Trump is too old.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he still has his mind. He's a smart guy.
I don't think he does. I think that dude's brain is turning to mush. I think that dude is sundowning.
You see, that's what you said. You said you think. See, we all know the people that watch him, like in his press conference, and whenever he has all these people together, and he's very confident. Y'all don't understand that. Y'all sent a man like Joe Biden, who was incompetent back in 2020, but y'all still sent him in office, even though he had like half his brain, and they were hiding him in his basement. But you still voted for him.
Well, I can tell you why I voted for Joe Biden, who was also too old. Do you want me to tell you why I voted for Joe Biden, who was also too old?
Yeah.
Joe Biden believed in the Constitution, and he was surrounded by an administration, by a selected cabinet of people who also believed in the Constitution. So I don't think that Joe Biden was going to do anything so incompetent that he was going to really subvert democracy in this country. And I think that if he really was doing things that were dangerous, saying things in public that were unconstitutional, or doing the sorts of things that I argue Trump is doing, I think his cabinet would have 25th him. I think there's an argument to be said for maybe they should have 25th him, but the point remains that the actual decisions that came out of his administration were still patriotic ones, and I don't think that's true of Trump. I think that he's
very true. Trump is the most constitutional president we had in a long time.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Who told you that? Wait. No. That. All right.
Don't give me time to talk.
Make it make sense.
You're a liar. You don't let me talk. You're very typical of Democrats who want to say you believe in the First Amendment, but you don't. You cut people.
You don't have the First Amendment on my show. You recognize that, right? That's not how the Constitution works.
I understand that, but you still don't let people talk whenever they're outsmarting you. They outsmart you all the time.
Go ahead and
let them
outsmart me.
speak. Let's talk about Joe Biden and his half brain. During his whole administration, they were threatening and arresting people because of the COVID that they put on the people. And they were making people take medicine. I'm not going to say what we're allowed to say. And it allowed to unalive. That's very unconstitutional. That's unconstitutional.
What's unconstitutional that they did?
I just told you. You don't pay attention?
Vaccines, COVID, masks. Is that what you were talking about?
Making them. They were unaliving people. I lost my mother-in-law because of that vaccine. But you don't care. You Democrats don't care. Pfizer was giving Democrats money to sell all these vaccines, but you don't care.
Okay, hold on. You're just saying a lot of things about the vaccines. I'm trying to pin. I'm trying to pin down exactly what your complaint is. Who you think did something wrong? I'm terribly sorry to hear about whatever happened to your mother. By the way, I might disagree that the vaccine killed her. You're 70, right?
No, you can't disagree because it's true.
I disagree with things that the callers think are true all the time. It's a big part of what happens on the show.
Yeah, well, the vaccine messed up her kidneys, so her kidneys affect her heart, and then her heart, she died from her heart. And then
how old was you're 70? How old was your mother when she died?
It was 3 months after she took the vaccine.
Okay, how old was she?
She was 79.
Did she have you when she was like 15 years old?
That's my mother-in-law.
Okay, your mother-in-law. I was just sorry. I'm just trying, and I don't want to press too hard. If you had a loss in your family, I am.
The vaccine.
You brought it up.
Many people.
Okay. Yeah. That's not true.
Yes, it is true.
Yes, it is.
It isn't. If we compare it to the rate of complications with other vaccines.
Well, you see, that's the easy way out for you Democrats is that when you don't like something, you deny, lie, and deceive. Y'all do that all the time.
Like I said, I don't want to press about something that happened to somebody in your life, but it is, as a matter of fact, not true that the
eyewitness.
Sorry, you were very upset. You were very upset about me not letting you talk. Are you going to let me talk?
Well, I can't take being lied to. That's all. Go ahead, you can talk.
The data suggests that the vaccines weren't dangerous. I'm terribly sorry that something happened to you in your personal life, but one example from one person's life doesn't add up to the amount of. We've got to remove you for what? Probably misinformation. Okay. Let's see, misinformation. Yeah. Try again another day, Ole Whitey. Man, it's hard. It's hard talking to people where there is just no telling them anything, right? Anything I say is like just that liberal nonsense. Typical liberal disagreeing with me. Yeah, because you're wrong about that, dude. Though I will say, as touchy as it is, I am willing to tell somebody that they're wrong about the reason their loved one died. I'm not afraid of it, you know? If that's upsetting, that's fine. But and I'll be careful and tactful. But he brought it up. He brought up an example of a personal thing, you know. I could bring up my personal examples and be upset about them. I could be really angry about certain things because of certain things that have happened to people in my life that wouldn't be reasonable. Yeah, so I you know, he didn't like me asking any questions about it, which kind of demonstrates his thinking on it. But we're back to not having any callers, so maybe we'll come back. Maybe we'll continue the competency conversation because I do. Oh, I have a Venmo to read from who? From Melanie. Thank you, Melanie, for the $5 on Venmo. Why does it, Melanie? It always cuts off your messages. I think you're hitting the button too soon. It says epidemiologist and Democrat here. I guess and then it cuts off. So I can't read the rest of your message. Maybe it'll show up in the chat. Mods, feel free to pin it if it shows up in the chat so I see it. Competency in understanding politics is on my mind a lot because I talk to people who can't do math but bring me numbers to show that they're right. That guy at the beginning absolutely completely crashed out about me asking him to multiply a number by 10. And the previous caller crashed out because I asserted that his own personal experience isn't enough data to say how dangerous a vaccine is. And I can be more forgiving of the crash out when it's about the reason that you think you lost a loved one. Like that, I can understand more. But it is difficult to navigate conversations where people aren't even willing to follow the most basic rules. You're not willing to do basic math about what we expect the data to be, whether we're talking about the safety of vaccines or the danger that trans people are or that ICE agents are. We didn't even get into the part of the conversation where we're going to talk about maybe how the standard should be higher for ICE agents than for citizens, but I don't know. How's everybody's Sunday going? Are we having a good Flag Day? That's the holiday that it is, right? There's so much going on today. It's no King's Day. It's the President's birthday. It's Flag Day. It's Freedom 250 Day. It's just like a bunch of shit happening today. And I just so can't be bothered with any of it that I'm here doing my show like it's a normal ass day. I guess that stuff isn't happening. I guess that stuff isn't happening till this evening. But I'm not even going to watch any of it live. I'm going to a show tonight for a friend of mine. So I'm just like not interested in it. Let's see. Did you hear his training just because given a vaccine and then 3 months later a virus didn't do it? Well, one of the things about people who are old dying of the vaccine is like, I remember when the vaccines were a current topic, when it was fresh, they did a big, analysis of something like 50,000 people who'd received it. And a bunch of them did die because it was like the first wave of people who got the vaccine. So it was a bunch of high risk people who were like 70, 80, 90 years old. And if you just, even if you don't give 50,000 octogenarians a vaccine, if you just observe 50,000 octogenarians for a few weeks, some of them will die. There is an expected rate of death among 80-year-olds, which is kind of the topic today. The president's too fucking old. He turns 80 today. Biden was also too old. I'm going to keep having to throw that disclaimer on there. But as an aviation dork, there's this little particular thing that I think about a lot, which is that in aviation in America, if you're over the age of 80, you need a relief pilot. Even if you're flying a plane that is certified to be flown by a single pilot, you still need a relief pilot if you're over the age of 80, because of what I just said, because 80-year-olds have this nasty habit of just falling over dead sometimes, even if they're in good health. It's a thing that happens to 80-year-olds. So I just think that, twice in a row we've had a president who's just too fucking old, and it's, and both parties are upset about the other party doing it. Can we just maybe stop having presidents that are that fucking old? I don't know. We'll see if somebody wants to defend the claim that Trump isn't too old, because I was really interested in hearing how, Whitey thinks he's competent, how Whitey thinks he's the most constitutional president ever. What a load of bullshit. We're going to see if I'm having a fun is going to defend that claim for him, because Whitey got banned for the day for misinformation. Thanks, TikTok TOS. How old are you?
I'm 25.
Okay. Have we spoken before? I think I recognize your voice.
No, we haven't.
Okay.
Maybe we have. I don't know. I've been on all sorts of.
Are you a communist?
No, I mean.
Then you're not the person I'm thinking of. The person I'm thinking of is a communist.
So.
You're a Trump supporter, though?
Is Trump too old? I mean, I want the fucker to die. So, I guess that. Really.
God, it can't be platforming wishes for the president to die. Anyway. Most constitutional in his bathroom schedule. Yeah. Fake Dean Withers. I assure you I'm real. I'm also not Dean Withers. Here is Arctic. Is that how I'm supposed to pronounce that? Maybe we'll get a debate out of this. How old are you? Here is Art IC.
I'm 19.
Are you a Trump supporter?
I'm an independent, but I wanted to ask and see your opinions on him saying diplomacy for the UFC fights and wanting to keep throwing out the White House cards and then U.S. fighters fighting other countries' fighters.
Diplomacy? What about diplomacy?
So Trump said the other day he wanted to start doing more fights at the White House with just American fighters fighting against other countries to promote diplomacy in the United States.
Okay, I don't think that the president should be hosting sporting events at the White House. I think it's trashy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a conflict of interest. I think that sporting events are financial operations. They're commercial operations with the goal of making money, and the fact that the president's hosting that using government property is, I think, an indication of the type of crook that he is. It's cronyism. It's corrupt.
Yeah. And what about the
Hold on, I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about him whatever benefit there is in using it for diplomacy. I don't care for it. I'm not even interested in that argument. I just think it's shitty for him to do it in the first place. He's made a mockery of the White House. He's demolished a third of it and put up a giant octagon to host a UFC fight.
And the fact that it's just for his birthday.
Yeah. It's this is dictatorial behavior. This is tyrannical behavior. And when I say that, I just mean that if you look at dictators, if you look at actual tyrants in history, they do this type of shit. They do this to sort of misappropriation of government resources, like all the security and money and all that stuff that has to go into throwing this sort of event, because it's the sort of event that he wants, not the sort of event that the average American person wants. He could have thrown a big event at the White House for $250. Like that would have been fine. The fact that it's a UFC fight's fucking trashy.
Yeah, I also think that in the same week that we declare Israel as an enemy of the United States, we're bringing Benjamin Netanyahu also to the White House for the fights around public people. Yeah,
Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal.
Absolutely, I think he should be taken into prison while he's here. Honestly.
Well, I mean, he would be in most countries. Most countries would arrest him if he set foot on their soil because he's internationally recognized as a war criminal. So yeah, I mean,
they're the only country out there that won't provide their nuclear bombs. They're going against the Geneva Convention. Like they're killing millions of children, and then they're going to let him just be around there. I mean, I think it's honestly something's going to happen bad, in my opinion. I think something bad's going to happen. They're going to try to promote it over to the civilians and be like, we need to watch out for whatever. I don't know. Something's going to happen, though. They're going to. You
think there's going to be another alleged false flag event tonight? You think there's going to be some kind of debacle?
Well, there is an American fighter supposedly going out with an Israeli flag to promote Israel. That was in talks. I'm not
scandalous, but I mean, you know, I don't really. If a particular fighter chooses to do that, I don't find that particularly meaningful. Straightforwardly, do you think that Trump should continue his term, or do you think he should be impeached?
Absolutely not. No, and okay. I'll be the one to say I voted for him, and I completely turned my vote around. Probably not turn it around, obviously, but a few months ago, I really started noticing like a lot of the stuff he says he's going to do, it won't happen, and that's why I kind of chose to be independent, because each president's the same way. Biden was the same way. I'll even say Obama was the same way. They didn't do any of the things that they said that they were going to do to help the economy.
Okay, I can respect that. I do like hearing people who voted for him give the reasons why they no longer support him and think that he should be removed from office. As an independent, the thing I always have to ask independents: do you recognize that you? I mean, you did vote for a red or blue party. You voted for Trump.
Yes.
Do you recognize that the sensible thing to do for an independent voter is to still pick the lesser of two evils?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's why I said, in my opinion, I knew that both parties are going to do the same exact thing. And with the things that were going on in Russia and now with Israel, in my opinion, I don't think Kamala would have been doing. I think she would have been doing the same shit or even worse than what he's doing.
Yeah.
I don't think she proved anything of what she could do as a leader for America.
I don't think that's fair to say about her.
Mm-hmm. Agree to disagree.
And I am probably going to move on and agree to disagree on that, because I think I'm going to keep the queue open to try to get a debate caller. But if you want to talk further, you can always call in at the end of the show. I do a little bit of friendly time.
Peace out. Appreciate you letting me come in here.
No worries. Queue is empty, everybody, so get double tapping away on the screen on TikTok so we can get a new caller in. We're going to talk to Ferhiya Hassan, Ferhiya Hassan, with two S's. How old are you?
I'm 25.
What year were you born?
2001. Calm down, bro.
Has your birthday happened this year already or not?
Yeah, it's November.
Okay. So your birthday hasn't happened this year, which would mean that you're 24, not 25. Goodbye. Sorry, just got to watch it with the underage people on the show. Queue is empty, everybody. We debaters have been having a hard time getting callers lately. It's interesting, and I do want to branch off of TikTok. I'm working on doing some off TikTok streams and getting the phone number up. It's difficult because I'd love to continue the multi-stream, but have people calling through the phone because a lot of people want to call in. A lot of people, very angry people in the comments of my Instagram videos, want to call in but can't because they won't download TikTok. But I don't think I should be hosting those live streams on TikTok. I see other people do it, but I'm always worried that the caller is going to say something that's going to get my account flagged. Because if I pipe in a voice from Discord or from Google Voice or something like that, TikTok doesn't know the difference between me and them because it's all coming from the same audio source as far as TikTok is concerned. So I don't know how people get away with that. I'm very afraid of getting the account banned. Did I get the math right on his birthday? I really don't believe that person was 25, but did I mix it up? I don't know. For how much I dunk on people for not being able to do basic math on the show, I sure do mix it up often enough. But I definitely have that glitch in my brain where it's like hard to think of how old a person's supposed to be based on whether or not their birthday has passed this year. Well, so Mech is saying just separate my audio sources. I can handle it on an audio end. The issue is that it still gets piped to TikTok still sees it as a source from me as opposed to a source from somebody else. I could conceivably, this would be the higher caliber method, I could conceivably create an alt TikTok account and then use that to pipe callers in. I could have my own account join on the live, and then that burner account will get banned if the caller says something bad. But that's a lot of I'd need like a different instance of Windows or something for that. Or no, I guess I'd need a phone to do it somehow. I don't know. I'd have to figure it because you can only join as a guest through phones. So I don't know. It's complicated. We're going to talk to Caden Lauscher. KAEDONLOUSCHER. We're going to see if we get a debate because the show started kind of strong today, but we're kind of petering out. How old are you?
I'm 22.
Are you driving?
No, I'm in the car, but I'm not driving.
Have the driver say something.
Hello?
Is that supposed to be your driver?
I mean, I can show my camera.
The road noise was too much anyway, so I'm just going to move on. I'm going to thank Isaiah for the $5 on Venmo. He says, go Knicks! People lie, but numbers don't. Yeah, I gotta. They won, right? I feel like I would have heard if they didn't. I was yesterday was I ended up out of the house for most of the day, and then I went to bed early, so I didn't even follow it. But it has been exciting to follow New York's excitement around the Knicks because I don't follow sports at all. But I don't know. I guess I've just got that New York pride. It is making me miss New York, seeing all the videos coming out of people just like absolutely losing their fucking mind. I wish I was there. But I also wish I was on the East Coast so I could be at Delaney Hall, because that's a travel fund. You know, people are one of the reasons you're donating money to the show is for me to get to do more than just the podcast. Because if you're a newer viewer, you might not know that I do a bunch of outdoor content. I go to the protests here in Minneapolis, and I try to participate in out on the ground real activism stuff as much as I can. But the focus isn't very much on Minnesota right now. It's very much on New Jersey and Delaney Hall. It would be expensive for me to go there, but I would like to. So we'll see. We're going to talk to Infectious Bites, who I think is a friendly. This might be a donor, because I think I've seen this name on the Venmo or Cash App or something. Hello, how old are you?
Hey, Oscar, I'm 50.
50. Are you a friendly? I think you're a friendly, aren't you?
I am a friendly. I just figured since you're in a little bit of a lull, I'd come up and say something to you real quick.
Yeah, I'll give you a moment.
Hey, I've seen you in Pickles Live in the audience a couple times. Mm-hmm. I was talking to him last night. As one of his mods, I have the pleasure to invite you. Next time you're in the audience, Pickles gave us full permission to bring you up for a co-host.
Oh, lovely.
I mesh really well seeing you and Pickles work together. Yeah,
absolutely. He and I have messaged a little bit, so we definitely want to collaborate. And I'd offer him the same invite back if he ever wants to hop up. I'd definitely have him on here as a co-host because Pickles got sent to me super early because people recognize that our debate style is pretty similar. Just kind of a very, very direct, fact-driven, right. Like why the fuck did you just say that type of.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
no.
I hopped up in Pickles last night and asked him about it, and he was like, "Oh hell yeah, man! I love Oscar. I'd love to have him up to co-host." So next time you're in the audience, just raise a hand or something, and we'll get you invited up there.
Lovely. Thanks for the invite. All right, I'll let you down to see if I can get a debate going, but that's exciting.
Yep.
Thanks for hopping up. I'd be very happy to work with Pickles. I mean, it would be. But yeah, I mean, like the thing with co-hosting is that I love co-hosting, but there is a degree to which it's harmful to the show to have it be like a 2v1 like that. That's hard for people. So maybe I'd prefer during the second hour of the show. During the first hour of the show is when I really try to get the Let me do my thing so I can get my Instagram clips, and then we can like fuck around for the second hour of the show. Of course, if there's expertise, I bring experts up all the time. I bring the lawyers up. I bring the doctors up. I have some trans friends I bring up to discuss trans issues. Anyway, we're gonna talk to David. I think David's going to be an interesting call. If it's the correct David that I'm thinking of, there's a couple of Davids who call in pretty regularly. Either way, he's going to remind us how old he is. How old are you, David?
I'm 59.
59. You're a Trump supporter, correct?
I voted for him, yes.
Do you want him to stay president?
What do you want him to do?
I want him to be removed from office.
How?
Either way, 25th or impeachment. I don't think either are likely, but that's what I want. I think that would be following the Constitution.
Okay, so why would he be impeached?
For violating the Constitution.
Exactly what?
Do you want one example? There are many.
Sure.
Executive Order 14160 was an obvious attempt to levy his own interpretation of a constitutional amendment that the Supreme Court has already specifically ruled does not work in the way that Executive Order 14160 says that Trump wants it to work.
What does it say?
It says that any person born in the jurisdiction of the United States is a citizen unless their parents are an invading army or an ambassador representing another country.
That's what the order said?
That's what the Constitution says. The order says that the children of undocumented immigrants don't get citizenship, which is in conflict with the 14th Amendment and rulings from the Supreme Court that specify that, yes, it does apply to the children of undocumented immigrants.
Okay, so it's been ruled on by SCOTUS already, or no?
No, that one's in the pipeline, but I think it's so obvious an attempt to subvert the language of the Constitution.
So can you let it get ruled on, and then we can figure that out? Or
no, I think it's so obvious that anybody can read it and recognize that it's an attempt to violate existing case law around the Constitution from the Supreme Court. It's the job of Congress. It's open to Congress's interpretation what high crimes and misdemeanors is. We don't necessarily need the SCOTUS to rule against this particular executive order for them to use their brains, use the fact that they speak English and are literate and can look at what it says in the Constitution and look at what it says in the order. The order specifically quotes the line from the Constitution that Trump is overthrowing with that order. I think that attempt to subvert the Constitution is so obvious that it would be sensible for a representative in our legislative branch to consider that a high crime or misdemeanor and impeach him for it. I don't think it matters if the Supreme Court rules on it.
Okay. Would you say that the Senate would find him guilty?
I don't think that the current Senate would. No, that's part of the problem.
So then what is the point?
To get the American people to understand what's happening in our government right now, which is that the government is not enforcing the rules, not following the Constitution. We have a majority in the Senate and in the House right now that are loyal not to the Constitution but to the president, which is the only reason he hasn't been impeached.
Okay. So you're saying he wouldn't be removed, but we want to do it anyway.
I think in terms of an actual practical outcome, I think that in the midterms, the Democrats are going to win the House by a small margin. And when that happens, there will be an impeachment proceeding, which I think will still be valuable, even though the Democrats aren't going to win the supermajority that's needed in the Senate to convict him, because I still think it would be valuable to have the impeachment proceedings so that the American people get to see Trump and his people try to defend his actions on the House floor, or on the Senate floor. I think that would be informative, much more informative than me sitting here talking to you, but I'm doing what I can.
Well, okay, so we impeached him twice, did we not?
Mm-hmm.
Did he get reelected?
Mm-hmm.
So how did that happen? If the American people were going to be informed, and we've already done it twice.
That was years ago, and he's done so many more unconstitutional things that...
How many years ago was it?
5 or 6. 6.
Is that a long time?
In the current political climate, yeah, that's an eternity. A lot has happened in that time.
Oh, an eternity. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So you think that these people don't remember that he was already impeached? You think they forgot?
No, I'm not suggesting that.
Because 5 or 6 years ago. Can you remember stuff that happened 5 or 6 years ago?
I can remember it. The issue isn't that it's so far away that we don't remember it. It's that so many new things have happened in the last 5 or 6 years that an impeachment proceeding would offer a lot more information. The most recent attempt to get him impeached had 13 articles that had nothing to do with any of the things he was impeached twice for during his first term. They're to do with actions that he's taken during his second and current term. So
I'll go back to my original question. If he's not going to be removed, what's the point? Don't you have stuff to do for the American people that could actually help the American people? Or do you just want to do this political theater?
I think that the political theater is valuable because one of the things that
Why
a theater
is it valuable?
remember like 8 seconds ago when I said the word because and you interrupted me?
We've done political theater twice.
Okay, and it's now 5 or 6 years.
Do it. How many more times do you want to do it?
As many times as it takes to get the American people to
7 times?
I'm sorry. I'm politely answering your questions. Why do you keep interrupting me?
Because you're making no sense.
I think I'd make more sense if you didn't interrupt everything I said.
All right, go ahead.
In a theater, there's an audience. So when we do political theater, the audience is the American people. The audience of this show are also largely the American people. The purpose of this show is to get into the minds of Americans and the minds of voters and the minds of the constituents of this president, the sort of wrongdoing that he's done. And I think that an impeachment proceeding would be highly educational for people, and it would reach a much broader audience than I'm capable of reaching. So even if it doesn't result in an in a conviction where he gets removed, it would still be highly valuable to get the American people to recognize just how flagrantly and repeatedly he's violating the Constitution. I think it's important that people understand that he's doing that. Let me just ask you a straightforward question. If the president is violating the Constitution, do you think it's valuable for the American people to know that that is happening?
I think the Supreme Court will decide it, don't you think?
That's not an answer to my question. If the president is violating the Constitution, do you think it's...
Supreme Court?
My question again is, if the president is violating the Constitution, do you think it is valuable for the American people to know that?
Who decides that?
If the president is violating the Constitution in an obvious way, do you think it's important for the American people to know that?
Who decides that was my answer.
You as a person who understands the Constitution.
Don't decide that. I'm not a constitutional lawyer, and
you're allowed to have an opinion, though. You're allowed to use your brain.
Okay.
Yeah, you use your opinion. You use your opinion to make voting decisions as a voter.
They used their opinion and they elected him again.
Here's an example. I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna give you an example, and I just want to know how you feel about it. If the president, let's not talk about Trump, any president, let's say that the president said by executive order that white people no longer have the First Amendment right. Do you think that would be an we're not talking about Trump. This is a hypothetical.
Oh, well, it's a stupid question. To go on, pass on this because it's dumb.
No. If you think hypotheticals are dumb, you're unqualified. If you think hypotheticals are dumb, you're unqualified to talk about politics straightforwardly. So really?
You're going to say that hypothetically, let's say he does this. Do you agree with that? That's your question.
Yeah, so I'm going to do something like that.
You're saying something that he violated the Constitution.
We're not talking about Trump. We're talking about the powers of the president.
We have an actual branch of government that decides that. It's called a check.
Okay,
right?
Can I explain to you why it's important to be able to track a hypothetical to discuss politics?
Because you want to actually live in fantasy land and not reality?
No. So let's say, for example, what's a law that you want passed?
Why are you pivoting?
I'm trying to. Well, I offered a hypothetical. You said that we're going to pass on the hypothetical, so I'm going to insist that we now talk about
the purpose of it.
What's a law that you want passed? That's my question. So we can address.
Why are you pivoting? Let's stay right here.
We're staying on the fact that you. What I'm saying is.
Stay with me.
I'm staying with you. I'm staying with you.
Let's not pivot.
My example is that if you want any pivot. I'm on the hypothetical. I'm not going anywhere. You can keep telling me that I'm
to be passed. I would love Roe versus Wade to be passed. I would love you to
hypothetically, if that happened, hypothetically,
hold up.
Hypothetically, if that happened, the outcome would be good. Is that what you're saying?
Hypothetically, let's say that Congress is taken by the Democrats.
Hypothetically, no.
By the Democrats.
I'm not going to let you move on. When you're done,
they pass Roe.
I'm sorry. Are we engaging in hypotheticals or not?
You get all branches, right? Will you pass Roe?
Are we? I'm sorry.
Roe?
I thought you didn't engage with hypotheticals. The question
is no.
But that's a hypothetical.
You will not pass it.
But that's a hypothetical.
You know why?
I'm sorry. Why are you using a hypothetical? I thought you didn't do hypotheticals. It's too good a
voting issue. All right, give me your hypothetical. Go ahead. Okay. Let's play the game.
Okay, we'll play the game. So hypothetically, if that happens, you would prefer the outcome. You'd like that, right?
I don't care either way. I don't think the Democrats will do it.
Okay, so their inability to recognize that hypotheticals are important to politics is an important topic to me. You do recognize that when a person who's voting is choosing the person that they vote for. They're saying, hypothetically, if this person becomes the president, the mayor, the senator, the representative, whatever level of politics it is, it doesn't matter. Hypothetically, if they become the seat of this particular position that I'm voting for, I think the outcome would be good. You are engaging with a hypothetical when you decide whether or not you want to elect somebody. When you support a law being passed, you're saying, hypothetically, if we pass this law, the outcome would be good. That's why I support doing it, because I want to see what actually happens when we pass the law, because I think engaging with the hypothetical that it's going to be good. So you have to engage in hypotheticals to decide what you want to happen based on what you think is going to happen in a version of reality that hasn't transpired yet. Do you recognize that?
Whatever you said is fine with me, Ben.
Okay. So we should be able to engage with hypotheticals in order to reason about politics. Because my question that I'm going to go back to, because I'm not going to move on from this, is I'm going to offer you a hypothetical about a president doing something just to see how you feel about the president's powers. Okay? We're not talking about Trump. We're just talking about any hypothetical president. If a president, hypothetically, filed an executive order that took away free speech from white people, would you be okay with them doing that? Oh, he left. I never notice when mid sentence when they leave. Oh my God, a bunch of donations have come in. Thank you so much, Christian, for the $25 on Venmo. Christian adds, I'm an ER physician. Was during COVID. Why is it not showing me the whole message? Is Venmo broken today? I want to read your message, Christian. You sent me $25, but it just says, I'm an ER physician and was during COVID and then it just cuts off. Let's see if it's happening to somebody else. Let's see if it's happening to Francisco, who sent me $15 on Venmo to say, what? Keep up the awesome work with highlighting the idiocy. Is that the end of the message or was there more? I don't know. Venmo might be dropping the ball today. I don't actually know. Let's hop over to Cash App and see if there's anything going on over there. I don't think so. I usually get notifications for that one. Anyway, if you like what I'm doing, if you enjoy the show, if you enjoy me, insisting that people engage with hypotheticals in order to have conversations about politics, you can support the show by going to the link tree in my bio and following me on the other platforms for free, or sending me some money in the various ways that you can on there, because my life costs a little bit of money. Not very much, but this is the only thing I'm really doing for work right now is this show. I'm a musician, and I gig sometimes, I get a little money for that, and I do have like a part-time job that I'm keeping just because I like it, and it's in the evening, and it doesn't interfere with me running the show, usually. But for the most part, this is the full-time gig, so if you want to support that, I very much appreciate it. The hypotheticals thing is really fascinating. Like, They just run when you want to engage with a hypothetical. Like, he can't even understand that I'm just trying to get him to talk about what the president's allowed to do. Here's where I was going with that. In case you're not following, it's that I don't think it'd be okay for the president to do that. I don't think it'd be okay for the president to file an executive order that takes away the First Amendment right to free speech from white people. That'd be bad. I don't think we need the Supreme Court to tell us that's bad. I think we could impeach a president for doing that. And that's roughly what Trump did with Executive Order 14160. It wasn't white people. It was the children of undocumented immigrants, and it wasn't the right to freedom of speech. It was the right to birthright citizenship. But that's that. You have to be able to recognize the analogy to apply a hypothetical to reality in that way. And that's the thing they struggle with. And it comes back to maybe the subtle topic of today is that if you can't multiply by 10, which the first caller couldn't do, if you can't do a hypothetical, which the previous caller did, like, I don't want to be like, I'm not going to sit here and like brag about IQ or something like shitty like that. But I do think that there are critical thinking skills that are necessary in order to be reasonable about politics. And so far, I don't think we've met anybody who has those skills. I don't think we're about to talk to somebody who has those skills. I think we're about to talk to Septic Salad, who demonstrates regularly that he doesn't have those sorts of skills. He might be able to multiply by 10, but I don't think he has the critical reasoning skills. What are we talking about today, Septic Salad? And remind everybody how old you are.
Yeah, I'm 40.
40. What's the topic today?
The hypotheticals are fine, but I mean, it becomes a problem when you engage in false equivalency. So, like the other day, someone was talking about the dude bro was talking about like trans and everything, and like so sexual orientation and then you came back with like autism and everything, and it's like these things are false equivalency because sexual orientation. There's a lot of studies that say that it can be influenced by your environment, not necessarily a genetic thing. So the science hasn't concluded that sexual orientation is coded into your genetics. So
So no, but it doesn't require the two things that the awareness campaign is for to be equivalent. To inform the audience, the argument I was making the other day is that somebody came on and said that that the Democrats are pushing transgenderism. They're pushing it on children. They're indoctrinating children. And what I said is that making an awareness campaign for something that people struggle with is not necessarily going to indoctrinate people into it. So I offered the example of an autism awareness campaign, which I think is pretty obvious, wouldn't cause people to become autistic. It would just raise awareness about people who are already autistic, all the people in the future who might be born with autism. So the two things don't have to be perfectly equal for that to demonstrate that it isn't necessarily true that an awareness campaign is going to cause some sort of indoctrination or conversion of people. So then I have to turn it back on the guest, which maybe I'm going to turn back on you now and say that if you think it's a false equivalency, you need to demonstrate that, in fact, educating people about transgenderism does, in fact, make them more likely to become trans, which the doctors don't think is the case. The doctors think it's a good equivalency.
That's what I was saying, is that you can't influence someone to become autistic, whereas your environment can influence people with their sexual orientation.
We were talking about transgenderism, not sexual orientation, first of all. So let's just keep it straight if we want to keep the conversation organized.
Well, it's all in the same ballpark, right?
No, it's not. These things work in different ways, and we have to trust what the experts actually find about them when they do their studies. Like, you can't just say that because you feel the same way about homosexuality as you do about transgenderism that you're just like, you can just create a false equivalency between the two to turn it back around on you. Because like, obviously autism and autistic people and trans people have a bunch of stuff that's not in common. I'm not saying the two are equal, but here you are applying reasoning about one to the other as though they are equal, even though they're just obviously different things. Like, come on, what are you doing?
Well, yeah, I mean, your environment obviously can play a role in how people like explore their sexuality and their gender identity, and the very act of exploring it can change kind of the neural pathways in your brain to some degree. So it's not like it's a completely, absent thing here. Like, you can actively change the neural pathways in your brain to these things. So it's not a one for one here. That's why it's not the same as autism.
Yeah, I recognize the logical possibility of that, but that is just not what the doctors who study it think is happening with trans people.
Well, it's not conclusive. We don't have like conclusive findings one way or another. There is research to suggest that this might play a role.
No, the research suggests that the neurophysiology of people who are trans is different from people who are cisgender, which is not something that you can influence by learning. Just changing some neural pathways. Like, when you learn something, you build neural pathways, but that doesn't create the sort of results that we see on fMRI scans of transgender people that indicates that they do have something that is physiologically different about them. That's strong evidence that it's genetic. It's something that they're born with. It's very strong evidence that it's something that they're born with.
Well, yeah, there is an interesting, because I saw the same studies. They mapped certain regions of the brain, and while those regions were still closer to their sex, they did indicate that they shifted away from the average towards.
No, you're mischaracterizing the results, because there are some structures of the brain in a trans person that when we give them a brain scan, some structures are very close to what their biological chromosomal sex is. Some structures are closer to what their target gender is. If they're like say a man to woman transition, a male to woman trans person, a trans woman is the label here. I just have to be very clear for a lot of the people listening who aren't as educated. So depending on the brain structures that you look at, you see different results based along that spectrum. But that doesn't actually really matter. What matters is that if we look at the averages of these brain structures that they measure with the scans, the fact that trans people fall into their own category in terms of what an expected average structure is, that demonstrates that this isn't something you can learn. This isn't something that you can be taught, because there's no amount of indoctrination that creates these differences in brain structures for anything.
No, I was saying that there is. I was agreeing that there is a difference, and I was gonna say that there.
So you recognize?
Hold on. Wait. I was going to say that there have been follow-on studies of these people after they have been provided like hormonal therapy to affirm their gender, that their brain structures actually move even more towards the sex of the gender they're identifying with. So it's really interesting finding that these introduction of hormones can actually change the structure of the brain even more. And one might posit in that scenario that, oh, well, if we do and like the opposite of gender affirming hormone therapy, maybe their brains would shift the other way and they would no longer be trans.
Two things. One, I need a source for that because I don't believe it. But even if it was true, and that's why I'm not going to focus so much on you needing a source, I'm going to say, because even if it was true, the fact that we can create those changes in structures with chemicals, with substances, with medication, that still doesn't change the fact that this is something that you're born with that isn't going to be changed based on indoctrination. It doesn't defeat my argument about the fact that people are born trans or not.
Well, it would suggest that, like, not necessarily that you're born in the wrong body or that you're born meant to be, one way or another. It might suggest that you have a hormonal imbalance, something wrong with your pituitary gland or whatever, that has changed the structure of your brain in these ways. And that's why I said the follow-on study where. So the specific claim, but the specific claim that you brought me is something that was discussed on my show the other day, which is that awareness campaigns for trans people are not going to yield more trans people. You haven't addressed that yet, because it sounds like you can do that with substances, with hormone therapy. That makes sense to me. It sounds like you recognize these people have some innately different brain structures, which is evidence against the fact that you can create those sorts of brain structures with indoctrination, because we know that not to be the case. We've certainly learned that from gay conversion therapy, because we're also pretty theoretically, you could untrans someone with hormone therapy. Theoretically.
Yeah, you could pick a direction, right? If you have a trans person, you can use chemicals to make them more like their chromosomal sex or more like their chosen gender identity or how the path they want to pick to represent themselves in a way that's correspondent to their neuroanatomy, which they don't choose. That's a choice that they make with the doctor, and the doctors help them make choices that lead to better outcomes. And the medical professionals that study this, that says that the things that we do get to choose, like how we handle this with hormone therapy, the outcomes are better for people who go the other way, the people who go away from their chromosomal sex.
Well, we haven't really tried, like there hasn't been exhaustive studies on trying to like hormonally change their brain structure back to match their original sex. So,
are you suggesting to me that the option of making trans people not trans anymore hasn't been given a lot of attention? Is that what you're claiming?
I'm saying we there hasn't been like an explicit hormonal therapy procedure done on this. No, as far as I'm aware, that hasn't been a thing that we've had exhaustive research into. Okay, then don't make such assertive claims about it, because you're asserting that would be a better thing to do, and you're disagreeing with the entire medical field on it. I'm just saying that when you say it is better to do the affirming care, then you're saying, okay, better than what? And it's like, better than doing the anti-affirming care, because we don't. How would you know that it is better than doing the anti-affirming care when we haven't really tried the anti-affirming care?
Can I shut down this whole idea?
Yeah, Raven.
I was literally born with the chemicals in me for anti-affirming care. I was born anti-affirmed.
Okay.
What you're suggesting is that you could use testosterone to make a trans woman not want to be a trans woman anymore. But what you're missing is that a trans woman's body starts
testosterone.
That's what.
Did I misspeak?
Anti-hormone therapy is.
Yeah, I didn't say specifically testosterone. I was saying that there might be a concoction of hormones, that you could employ.
Okay, so your magical potion that untrans people, as you said, doesn't exist.
Sure.
And we do have solutions that prevent these people from self-unaliving and having more difficult lives than they ought to. But I'll let Raven continue.
Do you know what the chemical changes are involved with transitioning?
Not specifically, like all of them, no.
So all I did was remove the testosterone from my body and add estrogen. There's no other chemicals being changed or anything. So what do you suggest being an anti-hormone to that being when I'm already born with testosterone and I still don't identify as a male?
My whole position on the anti-hormonal therapy is just as a theory, because we saw the studies where doing the affirming hormones change the brain structure even more. So theoretically, if we were to change the hormones in a way that it was
But you need to explain how adding more testosterone is going to...
I'm not saying testosterone specifically. Again, it would have to be whatever concoction of hormonal therapy changes the brain structure to match your biological sex more.
my
all right, here's what I'm not understanding. Sorry, Raven. Septic Salad, why do you give a fuck which direction these people choose?
I didn't even say.
You're sitting here arguing against the gender affirming care that we do by saying that we should invent some other gender affirming care that doesn't exist, that affirms the other gender. And I'm just not understanding why you give a shit about how these people live their lives.
I'm just positing as a possibility. Would you be against the existence of the anti-therapy?
I would
ask. There's been science done showing that gender affirming care is the most effective care for people suffering with this situation.
Well, because we haven't done anti-therapy. So
let's say they've been trying to not make trans people exist for generations.
No, I know, but like let's posit that there was a hormonal therapy that did shift the brain structure back to matching your biological sex.
Assuming that it's
and let's say the outcomes were even less, unaliving, even less. Would you be in favor of that?
You're assuming the hormones are what's causing it, but I had normal male hormones before I transitioned when I was still struggling with gender dysphoria.
No, I'm just saying that a study showed that hormones do impact this, and what I'm positing is that if we had a hormonal concoction that pushed your brain structure
is what's impacting it, not hormones.
I understand, but that's why I was citing the study that after the hormones were introduced, their brain structure changed even more. Because they did a preliminary study where they did the brain scans, and then they did a follow-on study of the same brains, and they showed more significant change.
All you're trying to do is essentially lobotomize a trans person.
No, I'm not trying to lobotomize anyone. I'm positing a theoretical situation here in which we were able to change the brain structure to match your sex, and I'm just asking if you would be against
Why is that important to you?
Right. Why is that?
I'm just asking if you would be against that or something.
I guess I don't understand the importance.
I think here. Let me put it this way, and I'm curious how Raven will, because we're kind of in new territory in terms of the trans topic. If hypothetically, if there was a new medication that came out that was a pill that you could take, and when you took the pill, it stopped you being trans. It just made you identify with your chromosomal sex. That would be a decision for any individual trans person to make about what they'd want to do. What's your point?
Right.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be against it. Okay,
I wouldn't necessarily be against that. No, such an intervention doesn't exist, and I've never heard a trans person who say that that's what they want the doctors working on. So why do you care? Why do you care so much about such an intervention getting attention?
Well, I mean, I'm just if it were the case that we had better outcomes in terms of like unaliving, in terms of mental health, depression, everything. If we found better outcomes with that therapy, then I would be probably more for that one than the affirming therapy, because if it had better outcomes, yeah.
Well, on my show,
why does it affect you?
Yeah, on my show we deal in reality,
Well, it affects them. Yeah.
Right. On my show we deal with reality, and in this reality that we live in, we do have good gender affirming care that reduces these negative outcomes for trans people. Are you against the use of those methods that do exist?
Not necessarily, no.
Then what the fuck are we talking about? What is this conversation?
I'll just check and make sure that we were on the same page about caring about the outcomes rather than caring about the affirming, right? Like if the outcome was better to anti-affirm, then you guys would be pro anti-affirm because we had better mental health outcomes, right?
I mean, we've answered that. I just don't know why you care so much about this issue.
Well, I've been trying to explore the leftist mentality here for a while. It's like, and we're seeing a lot these days, like the Carmelo Anthony issue is like, it seems like everyone on the left is like, that was clearly self-defense. Anyone, if they do simply touch you, then yeah, you can definitely, go stabby.
Carmelo Anthony hasn't actually come up on my show, which I find remarkable, and we can talk about it if you want.
Well, yeah, and it's remarkable to me that mentality is so rampant on the left. And
I'll let Raven stop the pivot. I was welcoming to it, but I'll let Raven stay on the topic if she wants to. Sure.
I just got to get something out, and then I'm at my protest, so I got to get going. But on the point of yesterday about pushing things and versus educating, the reason I got cut off because I got kicked for the flag yesterday. The reason it took me until 28 to figure out that I was trans is because of the lack of education, and I never understood that it wasn't even an option for me. And so it didn't sway me into being trans, it just educated me into saying this is an option for you to explore. And once I did explore it, I realized this was the path meant for me. So it's not indoctrinating me, it's educating me of a path that I was unaware of.
Hey, I'm not saying you specifically, and again, I'm not totally against affirming care. I'm pro whatever is the best outcome for mental health. Is like if this is the best outcome for you, fine. And
so why are you against gender affirming care when it has overwhelmingly positive outcomes? 97 on the low end, 97% success rate.
Again, I just said that I'm not against gender affirming care if
you're a conservative, you actively support a party that is trying to genocide an entire civilization of trans people.
No one's trying to genocide anyone.
The Institute for Genocide disagrees with you.
What, the Institute for Genocide disagrees with me?
Yes, they've raised the red flag 3 times, saying that the U.S. is in early to mid stages of genocide. We're on step 7, moving into step 8.
I don't think that's the case. I don't know what this institute is. I don't know what. Okay, it's the institute is just thinking this too. It's not like it's their opinion.
It's literally the experts on it. Do you think you're smarter than the experts?
You hadn't heard of them until a moment ago, and you're already trying to refute their.
Well, I don't appeal to authority. I think that's a logical fallacy.
Do you think you're smarter than the experts on this topic?
I don't know. Like smart does not. That's another.
You think you're more educated on this topic than the experts?
Again, more education is appeal to authority. Either the position is valid, regardless of how smart someone is, or the position is invalid.
And you haven't even looked into it. You just don't feel like it. Since when are you the party of feelings, dude?
That's just my gut reaction. I mean, Oscar's had plenty of gut reactions to things, and I'll go look up this institute later and see what their position is. But my gut reaction is that no, we're very far from genocide.
Then you are just purely uneducated.
Okay. We who study history look at these patterns where we go, when genocides happen, we can look at what happened in the years leading up to them, and we see, there's a bunch of shit that these genocides all had in common. We should watch out for these early warning signs in the same way that doctors look out for the early warning signs for cancer. You got a lump on your neck? Go get that thyroid checked. Your president's making executive orders taking away constitutional rights from trans people. Maybe keep a fucking eye. That's pre-genocidal type shit. And that's what these organizations are looking for. And that is a thing that Trump did.
Nothing in history is capable. Nothing in history is capable of being replicated. I mean, you could look at history and look at the.
You don't think that studying history is valuable?
Well, hold on.
Have you ever heard the saying history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes?
I understand. But you could look at the Roman Empire and be like, hey, look, they moved away from a dictator into the Senate, and then the empire fell. It's like, okay, so we should avoid the models. We should keep dictators and avoid Senate systems, because that's an early warning sign of a failing society. Or we can just say, these things are.
I'm gonna get going to my protest.
Yeah, have a lovely day. Stay safe, Raven.
Bye.
Love you. All right, Septic. Before we get on to Carmel Anthony, I'm just going to read some donations because so many come in when I'm talking to you. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to thank Ozzy for $10 on Venmo. Let's see if we have a message. He says, even if what Salad says is true, why is that bad? I think I said the same thing. I agree completely, Ozzy. Let's hop over to Cash App. Got $20 from Law of the Wild. He said, just for being me. Thank you, Law of the Wild. Joseph also sent me another $2 to say, I want your show to grow. Love it. Thanks. Appreciate you, Joseph. Michael sent $2 just to say Septic Salad is the worst. I don't know if he's the worst. I wouldn't say that. I've got a short list of people who I think are the worst, and I don't think Septic Salad is actually one of them. You are pretty high on the top of that list, just not quite the the very tippy top. And Tavi over on YouTube sent me a $10 YouTube super chat to say, "Caller, this sounds oddly familiar to the same argument Marvel uses in the X-Men regarding the mutant gene. Why is it anyone's decision except the person's?" Yeah, I think I kind of made a similar argument. So thanks everybody for the donations. Linktree in the bio if you want to help out and make sure that this, as my full-time job, works out for me. Septic Salad, do you want to move on to Carmelo Anthony?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
All right. Do you mind if I just give my piece on it? Because I actually haven't said to the public what I think about the Carmelo Anthony verdict.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
For everybody listening, there was a fight between two 17-year-olds at a sporting event at one of their schools, and one of them stabbed the other, and obviously that's terrible. The person who did the stabbing, Carmelo Anthony, was just convicted and the same day sentenced to 35 years in prison. My opinion on this is that it is obvious, if you look at high-profile cases that involve claims of self-defense in homicides, that there is an issue of unfairness where white people tend to get away with it and black people tend not to. That's a problem that we have. That said, I think that what Carmelo Anthony did was bad, and I think he belongs in prison for it.
Yeah, that's a fair position. Yeah.
It's another conspicuous piece of evidence of that first thing that I said, that we can look at examples of white people doing very similar things. Kyle Rittenhouse is a very good example. If you think that Carmelo Anthony belongs in prison, I think you should also think that Kyle Rittenhouse belongs in prison.
I think there's a bit of a false equivalency. A lot of people.
No, I think specifically,
because having a gun pointing at you is different than getting your shoulder shoved, right?
I think that both of them brought weapons to a place they knew they could find trouble. They went looking for that trouble. They found that trouble, and people died because of it. I think that's what makes it a good analogy. I think we can point out details about them that are different, but I believe with my heart that both of them picked up their weapon that day. Kyle Rittenhouse his AR-15 and Carmelo Anthony his knife. I think that they both picked him up thinking, if somebody tries something, I'm gonna fucking do something about it. And I don't think that that's an acceptable thing for a person to do. I'm a person who normally carries a knife. I don't these days because I don't want to get shot by an ICE agent for them thinking it's a gun holster on my belt. It's a Leatherman holster. But especially during the winter, it would hang out below the bottom of my coat, and it just looked like it could be the end of a gun holster. So, never mind the Second Amendment. I don't do that anymore. But as a person who for my entire adult life has had a knife on my belt, I know that I have different rules for getting into a bar fight. I know that I have a greater duty to retreat because I'm carrying a weapon. There are a lot of laws that codify that. If you have a firearm, you can't get into a parking lot fight outside the bar. You have to really do everything you can to de-escalate. And if you do any sort of escalation, that's a demonstration that you're not wielding that weapon that you're carrying responsibly. And the exact self-defense laws vary state to state, and that makes it muddy. And I'm not a homicide lawyer. I don't understand it perfectly, but I understand the ethics around it. And I think he behaved in a way that was bad.
Well, it looks like your audience is turning on you for your take on this a little bit, I knew it was going to be unpopular. I'm moving away from the left a little bit, I don't agree with how self-defense laws work in Texas. So I think maybe the sentence is long, especially considering his age. But from the details that I've seen, I don't think that he exercised responsibility as a person carrying a weapon, and I think you need to be responsible if you're carrying a weapon. And I think that is a totally reasonable position that you've taken here. And my problem is that the majority of the people on the left, and we're seeing in your audience in real time, and what I've been seeing, rampant all over the internet and everything, is that they take a completely crazy lunatic position on this, where it was like, oh yeah, I was totally justified. Touch me and you're getting the same thing, and it's like, that. Like all policies,
just before we move on,
they go downstream from that kind of mentality, and it's like, how can I vote for that? I can't vote for that for policies that would come downstream from a mentality like that.
Well, and just to clarify to my audience a little bit, the reason I think 35 years is too long is because the self-defense laws work in such a way in Texas that the manslaughter charge doesn't make sense according to their law. How surprising that Oskar Quentin doesn't like the self-defense laws in Texas, but that actually doesn't have anything to do with the case, because we still need to, the whole problem is equal protection under law. So I can be upset about how self-defense laws work in Texas, because no, I don't think that a 17-year-old should go to prison until they're in their 50s for a mistake of this sort. I don't think that's reasonable. I do think that they're following the law in Texas, which is why I think the law in Texas should change. But yeah, I think we need to speak candidly about these sorts of things. And I looked into it, and I don't like the evidence that existed around how he behaved in that tent. I think he failed to de-escalate.
As far as I'm aware of the Texas sentencing, like if he has good behavior, he'll serve half of that. And
sure.
So but
Rittenhouse belongs in prison too for the same reason. Is my point? Is that if we're going to have if we're going to have equal protection under the law for white people and for black people, Kyle Rittenhouse belongs in prison for the same reasons. So it's not about whether or not Carmelo Anthony is innocent for me. It's about whether or not the law is applied equally when the perpetrator of a crime is white or black or some other race. And I think that that's really the topic here.
I mean that's a fair. That's a fair take on the position. But again, my main focus lately has been kind of just like exploring the mentality that causes so many people on the left specifically to be like, oh yeah, definitely, because like there's a lot of nuance with the Kyle Rittenhouse. Like and even I in the Carmelo Anthony case can say like, okay, maybe he was over sentenced, maybe it shouldn't be a first degree, M charge, right? Like it could have be brought down. Like there is nuance in how I approach these cases, and there's. But it's just like vote in terms of voting. How can I apply that to the left? But I got to go. It's just something to think about. Yeah, I'll talk to you later, guys.
All right. He's leaving. I guess I'll kick him for the algorithm. Bizarre, yeah. No, I knew that one would be unpopular. Because, I've got, Law of the Wild mentioned in the chat. Look up case in Allison, Texas teen, poked, I think he means stabbed, poked another kid 4 times, 10 years. So, yeah, I think it's obvious. This is another case that sits on a pile of evidence that demonstrates that the legal system is not fair to people of different races. That's the story. I'm completely in alignment with the left on that. I just don't think that Carmelo Anthony's innocent. It's frustrating that there's not good footage of it. It's the sort of thing where we have cases like, we have Renee Good and Alex Preddy with ICE agents taking their lives, and we have such clear footage of it that we get to sit here and frame by frame it from multiple angles and come up with every, little judgments about every little move that everybody made. And then you have Keith Porter, who we don't have good footage of. He was also shot by ICE agents for seemingly no reason, no good reason anyway. And we just can't do that level of analysis with it. And it's frustrating when we have a case like this where I wish there was better footage of it so we could really, really look into it. But even without the footage, it's obvious that the punishment probably doesn't fit the crime, especially in consideration of the number of white people who've walked free for doing very, very similar things. That said, I'm just not going to say he didn't do anything wrong. As a person who's carried a knife since I was his age, I started carrying that Leatherman when I was 16 years old in New York. I just knew that, like, you carry the responsibility of not stepping up on a person, not, making those sorts of threats. You just de-escalate, walk away, dude. Like, you don't want to be in the tent. You don't want to get wet in the rain. Like, getting wet in the rain is better than being in a knife fight, regardless of who's right and wrong and which side of it you're on. A knife fight, it's a terrible thing to be in. And if you're carrying a knife, you should really, really work to avoid getting in knife fights. I can't see much farther past that. I can forgive him some for being a minor. He's a kid. He made a fucking horrible mistake, I think. Again, I think 35 years is not reasonable. But again, it's just a broader conversation about all of that. I will say this in further defense of myself. It's telling to me that the only person who showed up as a character witness for Carmelo Anthony was his mother. He was an athlete at his school, not one coach. Nobody wanted to come defend him other than his own mother. That to me is circumstantial evidence that maybe this was not out of character for him, unfortunately. But again, I'm about equal protection under the law, so I just look at these things candidly. Chat's mad. Oh, that's okay. How you doing, Scott? How old are you?
I stopped counting at 50.
Okay. What decade were you born in?
70s.
Okay. You a Trump supporter?
Yep.
Why is that?
Because I don't like Democrats.
Why don't you like Democrats?
I don't like a single Democrat anywhere. I live on the south side of Minneapolis.
Okay. Why don't you like Democrats?
You want to know the truth about Democrats? Here, go to my profile.
I'm talking to you. Why don't you like Democrats?
Because you're all a bunch of criminals.
What crimes have I committed?
Do you realize what that fraud did to South Side and North Side of Minneapolis? Do you realize what the fuck you guys did?
What did I do? We're talking about me.
Yeah, you're a Democrat, right?
I mean, I vote for the Democrats generally. I don't really
Right. But you weren't meant to be in a Democrat, right?
I'm still a little farther left than establishment Democrats, but yeah, I mean, I vote for. I'm a Harris voter, if that's what the metric you're going to use.
So currently, we got obstruction of justice by our police departments here, and we got mass medical malpractice within our hospitals currently, due to the billions of fucking dollars that were stolen and misappropriated.
Okay, so you think that all Democrats are
procedure?
You think that all Democrats are criminals?
Murdering us.
Hold on, we got to stay on one thing. Why do you think that all Democrats are criminals?
Because to vote for such heinous people that are doing such heinous stuff to Minneapolis. See, I live here. I know.
I live here too.
I've lost a dozen people.
You've lost a dozen people? What does that mean?
That means that there's mass medical malpractice going on. When you're seeing people on the street, delusional and not in their right mind, and we're not caring to get them people the proper help. Oh, they'll go get help, absolutely, in and out.
What are we talking about? We're talking about home.
Get paid for it. And we all get paid for it. Them are all fucking Democrats inside our hospitals, by the way, working.
What are we talking about?
How fucked up you are.
I'm trying to understand why you think I'm so fucked up, and I'm just not hearing it. What are we talking about?
Because you put your chest out for the Democrats.
I don't.
You don't?
No, not excited about the Democrats. I think we should vote for them in the midterms because that's better than voting for the Republicans for some very serious reasons. But I'm not excited about that.
It's fair, but your party ain't going to be able to recover, I promise you.
Do you think that your party is going to recover from electing a rapist to be president twice?
Well, that has nothing to do with the Republican Party here in Minnesota. Has nothing to do with the Republican Party.
I mean, people here did vote for him.
And it has nothing to do with how bad the Democrats really are. I mean, honestly, you look up 690.195 Minnesota criminal statute. That's third-degree murder. Just look it up. These fuckers are guilty from Frey to all of them. Why do you think O'Hara left? Huh? Why do you think he left?
I don't think that we're able to stay on one thing. You said that I was a criminal. Do you still think I'm a criminal after talking to me for a little while?
I think you're a criminal supporter.
Okay. Who do I support that commits crimes?
The Democrat Party here in Minneapolis.
Okay, pick a person who you think committed crimes that I support.
Frey. Mayor Frey.
I didn't vote for Frey. I voted for Omar Fatah.
Ilhan Omar, because you honestly can
what
say
crime did she? What crime did she commit?
Well, I won't particularly say she broke a crime. Or committed a crime.
I was looking for an example of a Democratic politician that's committed a crime that I support. So try again.
So you don't support Ilhan Omar either?
I do, but you just said that you don't think that she committed a crime.
I do believe she committed a crime.
Oh, what crime is that?
Election interference.
How did she do that?
I don't believe vote harvesting is legal because the only people that do that are
vote harvesting. What is vote harvesting?
Vote harvesting is when you take grocery store shopping carts up and down Cedar Square West over there, up and down those big sky-high apartment buildings, and you go knocking to get votes. And then you got,
door knocking?
And nobody speaks English, and basically they bring their little grocery cart in and they drop them in the ballot box.
I'm sorry, you're accusing them of door knocking?
No, vote harvesting, meaning that, I mean, they don't even know a practically English language, and they believe that they know politics. They believe they know what's going on from somebody that tells them.
But you're talking about something that both parties
do. Not giving
do.
them the full truth. That's honestly not giving them the full truth.
Oh, so you think that she's lying and that's illegal?
No. I don't believe she's lying. I believe the fact is that they're not getting the full truth, and I don't even believe that they should even have voting rights myself.
Who shouldn't have voting rights?
Anybody that don't know English.
Oh, well, that doesn't seem related to my line of questioning about finding a Democratic politician that I support who has obviously committed crimes. What crimes do you think that Ilhan Omar has committed?
How do you feel about vote harvesting?
I think you made up that label.
You're not familiar with vote harvesting? Because the Somalians are the only ones that do it.
I don't think that that's true. If based on the description that you gave, that's something that lots of people do, supporting all sorts of different candidates. I would call it canvassing.
Yeah, that's different though. But when you're doing it with your community that's been brought over here, it's a little different. It's called vote harvesting.
Is it okay? I mean, what do you mean brought over here? I don't know what you're talking about. Only citizens are allowed to vote.
During the 90s, we imported them from Somalia. So
we imported them.
100,000 of them. Yeah.
Okay, I just don't think that import is an appropriate word.
Imported Democrat voters.
I just don't think that import is an acceptable word to use about humans personally. But I don't think we're gonna solve human rights between you and me. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna ask one more time. What did Ilhan Omar do that was illegal?
They're basically asylum seekers. I can agree with giving people asylum. So I mean.
Okay, so just one more time. Fair. Probably not one more time. Probably several more times. But we'll see. We'll see. What exactly did Ilhan Omar do that was illegal?
She's vote harvesting.
Is vote harvesting illegal?
It should be illegal. It should be. The only reason why it ain't is because Keith Ellison said it's
so the
not.
question again.
That's the only reason why.
The question again is, what did Ilhan Omar do that was illegal? You offered vote harvesting.
She campaigned with Keith Ellison. You know that, right?
Is it illegal to campaign? Is it illegal to campaign with Keith Ellison?
No, absolutely not. But what it is, it's just racketeering and it's corruption at its finest. And
is it illegal?
We're watching criminal activity. You just ain't smart enough to know that. That's all.
What criminal activity?
Like I told you, election interference.
Okay. How did she do that?
By doing the vote harvesting. It's that simple.
You said that vote harvesting wasn't illegal.
Yeah, you can pretty much say all the politicians that were still here 10 years ago, right, are still here. And that's even through the riots and through the mass destruction.
Hold on.
You just got to imagine why they still keep getting re-elected, right?
Scott, can you hear me?
Speak up, boy.
Okay, can you hear me?
Speak up.
Can you hear me?
All right, now you're talking.
All right, Scott. I got a question for you.
All right, boy, speak up.
What did Ilhan Omar do that was illegal?
Oh, you can't hear too well, can you?
If you said it, something's wrong with my ears because I didn't hear it.
You're listening, but you're not hearing.
I think what you meant to say is that I'm hearing, but I'm not listening. But anyway, what did Ilhan Omar do that was illegal?
She vote harvest, so you can pretty much say...
But you said that wasn't illegal.
That's only because Keith Ellison doesn't say it's illegal.
Okay, so I do need you to find something...
It's corruption. It's corruption is what it is.
I just need to ask again for something that you did. Is? I have some idea of what corruption is. Here,
you should pull it up one time.
Okay, do you want to define the word corruption? I can offer my definition as well.
Yeah, you can all you want, but I want you to tell everybody what criminal corruption is.
Well, hold on. We're moving past things here. The fact that you're already moving on tells me they're probably not going to stay on corruption either. So I am just going to insist that you offer me a thing that Ilhan Omar has done that was illegal.
I told you, election interference. How many times I got to tell you that shit?
Okay, but you're describing her doing things that aren't illegal. You need to substantiate the claim that she has committed election interference. Do you think it is election interference to talk to people about politics?
I think they're all part of a criminal organization myself. That's what I think that I know it is. It's a criminal enterprise is what we have.
Let's talk a little bit about criminality. The chat says you're a felon. Is that true?
Yeah, I know crime. I know crime very well.
Okay. What'd you do?
I did everything.
Okay. Vague. I mean, if you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to talk about it. I can't make you.
No, ain't nothing to really talk about. Nothing I'm proud of.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just. You need proof of.
So no, I've been there. I've been around the block. But what I'm saying is what these Democrats have done to our neighborhoods on the south side and on the north side is they've totally.
So are we just gonna throw away the claim that I support politicians who do illegal things? Because that didn't go anywhere, did it?
No, I know. You Democrats gonna keep on pulling your little bullshit and shit's gonna pop off one day. That's all I can say. You can go to my profile. I live on the south side of Minneapolis, and I don't hide nothing from nobody. So.
Well, so there was an article in the New York Times in 2020, and I'm just going to read the first paragraph of it here. It says, here, I'll put it up on the screen so everybody knows I'm not just making this shit up. But if we read this first paragraph right here, if I can get it centered properly, there we go. A deceptive video released on Sunday by the conservative activist James O'Keefe, which claimed through unidentified sources and with no verifiable evidence that Representative Ilhan Omar's campaign had collected ballots illegally, was probably part of a coordinated disinformation effort, according to researchers at Stanford University and the University of Washington. So, W in the chat for the mods for finding things so that I don't have to do it live on the show, but it sounds like the New York Times agrees that your claim is bullshit.
Claim of what?
That she collected ballots illegally.
Oh, well, you got the Attorney General that doesn't want to charge any Democrat out. So, I mean, that's just what it is. Is what it is.
Is what is?
A lot of instances. Just like, when Walz said, well, he's accountable to the fraud in Minnesota. Well, that's the smoking gun. The BCA director, Drew Evans, was right there. And then then he passes the torch from the BCA that's supposed to be investigating the fraud to some new committee ran by an ex-BCA agent.
Can I ask you a question?
So you guys are all just a bunch of fraud. And
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
What branch of the government does Ilhan Omar work at?
She's a senator. I live in her district, matter of fact.
Okay. So what branch of the government does she work at?
Get to your fucking point, little bitch.
Well, she's also not a senator.
Congresswoman, what the fuck you getting at?
I'm getting at the fact that you don't understand what her job is.
No, I understand what you guys have done, you little bitch.
What branch of government does a senator or congresswoman or congressperson work at?
You know what? All that stupid shit doesn't work with me. You got it?
The functioning of the government?
I'm going to tell you the results speak for itself. And one day, mark my words, you Democrats going to pay the price.
What price are we going to pay?
Consequences. Sorry. There's consequences to actions.
Of what sort?
Are you worried?
I'm trying to figure out if I should be.
Why, are you worried? Are you scared or something?
I just don't know what you're saying to me.
Because I would be if I was fucking around like you guys do.
I should be scared?
I would be if I was fucking around like you guys do.
Like running this show, you think I should be scared because I run this show?
No, I just don't think you should be putting your chest out for Democrats.
We talked about that earlier, but you think I should be scared? What sort of consequences do you think I should be scared
about? I want you to remind the audience that you're really not, I want you to remind the audience that you're really not putting your chest out for Democrats and you really don't like them.
Yeah, I do that all the time. I already did it in this call with you. Not super excited about the Democrats. What sorts of consequences do you think I should be scared of?
Fair enough.
What sorts of consequences do you think I should be scared of?
Right now. I got a movement I'm starting.
What? Oh, he left. Wasn't going to put that threat in more clear words. Probably knows the system too well to do that. Should I be scared, everybody? Should I be afraid? I do get a lot of death threats. Joseph sent me $5. I think this pertains to the previous call. He says, appeal to authority is only fallacious when the authority isn't an expert on the topic. Asking a foot doctor about heart surgery is fallacious. Asking a heart surgeon isn't. Likewise, citing a genocide institute on genocide isn't a fallacy. They're relevant experts. Well, I think the fallacy would be trusting what they say instead of looking at their argument, because it still is fallacious to look at an expert's opinion and then trust nothing else. But we do, as a heuristic, do need to leverage the capability of experts in order to come to our own conclusions. And the experts on genocide do think that there is a trans-genocide a-brewing in America, and that's a problem. But I'm getting fucking sick of talking about it. Sorry, it gets too much airtime. Obviously, I fucking care about about trans people. Oh, people think maybe he was removed from TikTok for what he said. Hopefully, I was trying to get him banned. That's what I was doing. I wanted him to put the threat in clear terms so that TikTok would ban his account forever. I don't know if I succeeded. Maybe we'll see if we get him again, because he was threatening me for exercising my First Amendment right, which is shitty. Anyway, we're going to talk to Chris RN and see if we get a debate out of this one. Are we going to run long today? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe that's up to the donors. Hello, how old are you?
Is that what you're talking about?
Hello? I don't think they meant to join. We're going to move on. I'm going to skip Joey because I've spoken to him before. I'm going to go to Logan Lyons. Lyons? I don't think I've spoken to them before, but then we'll loop around to the familiar names afterwards. Hello.
Hello.
Are you driving?
Yes, I am driving. I just wanted to stop in and say...
I'm sorry, you can't be driving on TikTok Live. Joey Belcher, you're the only one left in the queue. So Joey Belcher 391. We're going to see what he wants to talk about. Hello, how old are you?
Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to request. Actually, I'm 46.
Oh, no worries. You can have 10 seconds of airtime if you want it before I kick you.
Sorry, man. No, I really like the show. Like I said, it's fun times, and hell, the only thing I could really talk about is music. I'm politically, I guess you'd say Democrat. Of course, I hate Trump, but just thanks, man.
Based position. W's in the chat for Joey. But we do have some more people showing up in the queue. We have LVX space NERXSED. I don't even think I'm going to try on that in the YouTube description. Caller. LVX. How old are you?
24.
24. Do you support Trump?
I have mixed views on both sides. I'm neutral.
Okay. I'm willing to take that call. I think. I'm
basically, to answer more of your question, I pull for one side and then I pull for the other, so I don't know anything like a lot, but I'm willing to take, questions you have for me. Vice versa.
Do you think that regardless of which side they're on, it's like important that the president not try to break the rules?
Yes.
I think that Trump's breaking the rules an awful lot.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think that's more important than any policy position. I think that's more important than any opinion anybody has about illegal immigrants in America. I think that's more important than any opinion anybody has about trans rights. I think that's more important about any opinion than a person has about which wars we should be fighting. I think none of that shit matters if the guy at the top isn't following the rules, because the rules are there to protect us from the guy at the top doing bad things. And I just think that's completely paramount.
I agree.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess if you agree with that, it has me wondering why you're so in the middle, because I think if that was truly important to you as an American, as a patriot, as a person who believes that the Constitution should be defended and protected by the president, which is what they swear their oath to do when they take office, I think if that was true of you, You wouldn't want Trump to be president at all. You'd take
No.
real serious issue with it.
I guess to answer your question, me being neutral, I would say that the reason I pull for one and the other at the same time is because I see like Democrat views and I like those, and then I see Republican views and I'm like, okay, that sounds better. This sounds better. Now which ones do I go for? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm saying that before we even make that assessment between two candidates, I guess my primary argument here is that if one of the candidates is breaking rules in the ways that I just described, never mind that comparison. You shouldn't make that comparison. You shouldn't even get to that step. You should say, no, that one doesn't follow the Constitution. Never mind what he wants to do. Because if he's not following the Constitution, there's no way to be sure that he's actually going to do the sorts of things that I want and protect my rights and protect the rights of the people I care about and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't think that the comparison is all that valuable when the president is so aggressively working to subvert the Constitution.
For sure. All right. That's a fair argument. Thanks for your time.
All right. I mean, I'm kind of interested if that argument affects your thinking about it. I want to hear how that lands with you beyond just like, okay, good argument.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Well, I mean, like you can say it's a good argument, but does it affect your thinking about it? Does it affect your... Do you think it's a... You say it's a good argument, but come the next time you vote, are you going to consider that sort of thing, that you should vote for people who are going to follow the Constitution above all else?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I would probably pull for the other side then. I mean, like you said, I mean, if you got a president that, is consistently breaking the rules, why would you pull for that? It's...
Yeah, I think that people knew that about Trump before November of 2024. I think it was obvious that he broke the rules in that way. So, would the you of today have still voted for him? Did you vote for him? Forgive me if you said that earlier.
No.
Okay, all right. So you are more in the middle, but I think it's important that people don't even consider options for people who don't follow the Constitution to be in the federal government. That just seems pretty basic to me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what he did, like what you were saying. I mean, some of us support somebody that has been accused, and I don't know if I haven't delved too much into it. I don't know if he was like, accused and they just like it went over their heads of being a rapist or whatever. But
he wasn't found guilty criminally because the statute of limitations was up, so there was no recourse there. But he was found civilly liable. A jury said he did it.
Yeah, but like I said, I didn't see if it, like you just answered my question, but like I said, I didn't see it. Like I didn't get too much into it, but I'd seen that he was convicted of that, so I never voted that this year just because, one, he was running, and two, I just didn't have the time and didn't have, like, I guess the motive to go up to, cast my vote because of our presidents that we've had before that were Republicans that didn't, broke the rules, so...
But if you heard that he did that, you didn't care to vote against him? Because there's a lot of people who didn't vote at all.
I didn't vote at all because...
Right. I'm saying that if you thought, oh, wow, the Reds are trying to elect a rapist, maybe I shouldn't vote for him at all, but I should also vote for somebody who might win instead of him, and that would have been Kamala Harris. And I think it's a shame that you didn't consider it valuable to cast a vote for Kamala Harris to prevent the country from being run by a rapist.
Yeah, I just didn't care to vote this year. I mean, I voted last year for the Democrat side, but this year I didn't vote just on, I guess, choice.
Okay, I'm going to move on, but I think you should think about it more. Think about what your priorities are for voting.
All right, have a good day.
Interesting call. I think a lot of voters who are in the middle are a little apathetic. There's just too partisan a thing happening to you don't care enough about. Yeah, loud liberal ashes in the chat has been going nuts. She says privilege. Yeah. I don't think. I think privilege played into it, and I think Pam has also got a good point that he probably took some kind of issue with voting for a woman. Apathetic about rape in the Constitution. How American. Christian 1975 is our next caller. Are we doing a long show today? Let me know, everybody. I'm kind of in the mood for it. But before I let you tell us how old you are, Christian, I am just going to thank a couple of people. I'm going to thank Indigo for sending me $5 on Cash App. She just says, thank you for helping to educate. I appreciate you. Is that the only one? I think that is the only one. That is. Thanks, everybody, for the donations. How old are you?
I'm 50 from Florida. I voted for Harris. I'm the guy that sent you the $25, but the message got cut off.
Yeah.
Position.
Yeah.
The rest of my message was basically, do you know what the word nosocomial means?
No.
It means hospital acquired, like diseases that are people get when they're in the hospital.
Sure.
Because they're germ factories.
Resistant bacteria that have seen enough antibiotics to become super powerful, that sort of thing, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the hospital itself is just full of them. Mm-hmm. So if you were to put, in that gentleman's claim that, she was given the vaccine and then 3 months later passed away, it's just obviously, that's just supposition. It's not what caused it.
It takes a massive amount of data to make to even draw a correlation between a vaccine and somebody dying 3 months later. It's just one single example of an elderly person dying.
Right. I mean, I'd love to see the death certificate, and I'm sure they probably didn't even do an autopsy just because of how busy it was. I mean, we just didn't do autopsies on elderly passing away during COVID because it was too busy. So it's unfortunate, but I very highly doubt. I mean, I personally haven't read anything about a single death being caused from the vaccine. So.
Well, I know that in large studies, there's like concerns about blood clots and things like that. But what I understand is that the data is just that they're not. If you're concerned about the safety of the COVID vaccines, based on the actual data, you should be concerned about all vaccines, because there's a bunch of vaccines that are like the COVID vaccines were actually much safer than your average vaccine, because all sorts of medications have different side effects.
You're exactly right. Just like you brought up Tylenol the other day. I mean, how that gentleman was saying. Or talking about, it causing autism, but you brought up a great point and I've seen it many times because that point was made, I had to deal with children in the ER who weren't given Tylenol or even given ice. I mean, if your kid has got a temperature, most people put blankets on them because they're freezing, but that's just a byproduct of the positive feedback loop system in the body. So, I don't understand why. So anyway, I had to deal with a lot of people, a lot of children, unfortunately. I mean, and I don't really work peds, but we were so busy with COVID that we had to jump all over the place at times, We were just understaffed and overwhelmed. And there were a lot of children being brought in who had high temperatures, and many of them passed away, unfortunately.
Well, and I think that's the thing that's so frustrating about people not understanding these large numbers, is that you can say, oh, well, out of an abundance of caution, shouldn't we stop giving people Tylenol because it might have this connection to autism? And it's like, no, because Tylenol saves lives from people who are experiencing fevers that could kill them or give them brain damage.
Right.
So you're just ignoring medical advice when you just reckon that something feels dangerous and you shouldn't do it. But yeah, we just use, experts go to school for it. People go to school for a long ass time to get the job that you have. And it's a shame that people walking down the street so often don't respect that about what you do.
And I think that's what, that's a huge part of the Trump issue. And with him putting RFK and putting all these unqualified people in positions, that it gives microphones to, and empowers people to have your own brain, make your own medical decisions. Like, I don't give medical advice to anybody because I need to see all the data and I'm just an ER physician. So like, I have to call anytime, if there's a kidney issue, I'm calling that doctor. I'm calling this doctor. They're all on speed dial. We're ER physicians are, masters of, that whole saying, I just forgot for some reason what the saying was, but a jack of all trades, masters of none. There's just too much information for us to know everything about everything. So,
well, yeah, I mean, that's me as a debate host, is that I'm not an expert on any particular topic. I just have a grasp of a bunch of them, so I do the same thing. I lean on experts, right? Like there's things where there comes a point where if you have an opinion about, like, I don't know, an Iran nuclear deal or something like that, where we prevent them from making nuclear weapons, there comes a point where you just have to say, I am not a nuclear physicist. The ones that work on the government think that this is a good deal. The deal is to convince our nuclear physicists that
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I fully understand and don't understand why people. I do understand, but I think that's one of the intrinsic things that Trump's effects down the line will have such damaging effects that you really can't quantify. You know what I mean? Or touch.
Well, yeah, he's really damaged the public zeitgeist around how we treat experts.
Exactly.
Like they. I mean, I have people call in and just use the R slur about any resource that comes from a doctor or a university or anything they disagree with is just.
Exactly.
Stupid, let's say.
I mean, flat earthers have come out of the woodworks. And we're just throwing away science and dismissing it as, especially with global warming, like, God forbid you bring that up, it's just insane to me that, if I wanted I'm having a problem with my yard. Well, I called a lawn chemical company because I'm not a specialist in that field.
Well, and that's one of the things I think we need to focus on society is like, how do we fix this issue? Like, how do we make the next generation of voters people who just are able to learn who to listen to? Because you can't become a nuclear physicist and a doctor and all the things you need to become, but you can become a person who's good at picking a nuclear physicist to listen to. You can be good at finding a good source, and that's what I've done in my academic career, and that's what I try to share with people, is that it is complicated. There's no blanket advice on who to listen to because it varies so much field to field.
Yes.
I appreciate you coming up. I've got another caller, so unless you've got something else, I'll move on. Yeah, thanks for your time.
No, I appreciate it, brother.
Have a good one. W's in the chat for Christian. Christian with a K. From Oscar with a K. We're going to talk to Logan Lyons, Lyons. He was up earlier. Was he the driver? Maybe he's not driving anymore. I can never remember. Hello.
Okay,
how old are you? Okay, I believe you.
23. 23.
Parking 23. You a Trump supporter?
Absolutely not. I just wanted to come on and say that I love the work you do. I've been following for a few months now. It's always popping up on my feed, and just keep up the good work, man. Keeping people thinking and stuff. It's such a good thing that you do it out here.
Those Trump supporters don't like thinking. They're not a fan. They don't like it when I make them do it. Yeah.
They don't. It's like you try and make them think about something, and it just yeah. Just keep up the good work, man. I appreciate what you're doing.
Appreciate you, Logan. Have a great day.
You too, man.
W's in the chat for Logan, everybody. And if you've made it all the way to 2 hours, maybe consider going to the link tree in my bio and following me on the other platforms for free. Helps me out, especially my backup accounts all the way at the bottom of the link tree. Backup TikTok accounts, Oskar Quentin 2 and Oskar Quentin Music, because we got to get those ready for when this one gets banned eventually for something. I want to be able to run the show. And, you can also send me money because, this show happens because of contributions from viewers like you. Caden Lauscher again. Was he on earlier? I can't remember. We saw that name today. I don't remember who he was.
Yo,
remind me. Did we spoken today already?
Yeah, I was in the car with
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but now I'm at home now.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 22.
You Trump supporter?
I am.
Why is that?
Yeah, one of the main reasons is because I don't believe that we should be taxing wealthy people more, just for other people's needs. I think wealthy people, should be taxed the same as everybody else, being able to keep their money that they've worked hard and earned.
Okay. There's an economics principle that's really important to understanding why I think that it is in fact fair to tax rich people more. Do you know what the diminishing marginal utility of money is? It's kind of a mouthful, but I'd like to explain it to you if you're not familiar.
No, explain it to me.
$1,000 would be really meaningful to me. It would make a big difference in my life. There are some things I'd do right away. If somebody sent me $1,000 Venmo donation, I'd be like, oh my God, thank goodness. There are a couple things I can fix with that. My van needs some work or something. It doesn't matter. Whatever in my life, it matters, right? That's a big deal to me. it would change my heart rate if I found $1,000 or if somebody donated $1,000. It would be a big deal to me. I'd have a physiological response. I might jump up and down. I'd get excited about it. Do you think that Elon Musk is excited if he gets $1,000? If somebody says, "Here, Elon Musk, I like what you do. Here's a donation of $1,000." Do you think that changes his heart rate?
Well, here's how I look at it. I think he would rather have the $1,000 and give it to somebody random. And, like if he doesn't have to give the $1,000 to somebody random, he can keep creating generational wealth and lowering taxes.
We can talk about what he does with his money, but I really need you to understand the principle here. And maybe I shouldn't have chosen Elon Musk.
I think he would appreciate $1,000. I think everybody would. Everybody starts with $1.
All right. Let me put it this way. Let's put it this way. I would do a pretty enormous amount of labor for $1,000. If somebody said, "Hey, I need this house cleared out. It's full of cat poop and old couches. I'll give you $1,000 if you empty this house into this dumpster," I'd go, "Oh, sure." I'd buy some gloves and I'd get to work on it. Do you think that we could get Elon Musk to clear out a house full of old couches and cat poop for $1,000?
No, and that's because he's worked hard to get where he's at. So he doesn't have to do that stuff. For my case, I wouldn't have to do that either.
Specifically, what I'm pointing out is that $1,000 is much less valuable to Elon Musk than it is to me. I'm willing to make great personal sacrifices for $1,000. Elon Musk probably wouldn't. Do you understand that?
I understand that, but 10 $100 bills in my right hand is the same as 10 $100 bills in his right hand.
Not to him, it isn't, is my point.
But with the money value, is it not the same?
No,
he should pay this. So like,
what I'm explaining to you
on his salary.
What I'm explaining to you is that when money is less valuable to somebody, when somebody has a lot more money, additional money is less valuable to them because it doesn't change the quality of their life. $1,000 would directly change the quality of life that I live. It wouldn't affect Elon Musk's quality of life, which is why he's not going to be willing to give $1,000 even his attention. He probably, if somebody handed him a check for $1,000, it's not worth his time to bother cashing it. I'd run to the bank.
I mean, that's a good point. I understand what you're saying.
So my point here is that when we tax people, what is a more fair thing to consider? How much the taxes hurt or how much it is by percentage of their income? Which is a more sensible thing to make it fair? What should we consider?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I was.
When we're deciding how much to tax people, what's a more fair thing to consider? How much the money will hurt them or how much money it is as a percentage of their income?
What's more fair to consider?
Mm-hmm.
To the person or to the public?
To the person you're taking the money away from by taxing them.
Okay, so if we're taking the money away from the person that we're taxing, I think it would be fair if we just tax them the same percentage that me and you get taxed.
The problem with doing that is that in order to get the same amount of taxes collected, we end up having to tax poor people more. And, I consider myself a poor person. If I have to get taxed at the same percentage rate as Elon Musk, it's going to hurt a lot more. It's going to make my life harder. It's going to mean I can't fix my van. It's going to mean I can't buy new furniture for my crappy apartment. Whereas if we were to tax Elon Musk a higher percentage, he'd still have nice furniture in his house. He'd still be driving a car that a company he owns gave him for free.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I saw a comment, this guy doesn't like to learn. I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of like that.
Well, I think that you're struggling with the notion that money is of different value to people who have different amounts of money.
I completely understand that. Just like, like my dad has more money than me, so like $100 to him could be $1,000.
I'm gonna give a different take on an example my audience knows, which is my hamburger example. Let's say that we're trying to feed everybody in a room, okay? And what's getting served is hamburgers, right? And people have their hamburgers. Some people don't have hamburgers. Some people need help from whatever system we're putting together to make sure that everybody gets to eat because we don't want anybody to starve to death. And there's enough hamburgers to go around. So what we're going to do is we're actually just going to take some hamburgers from the people who do have hamburgers and we're going to give it to the people who don't have hamburgers. Does this make sense? Are you following?
I'm following, yep.
Okay. A bunch of people only have one hamburger. Say there's 100 people in the room, like 70, 80 of them, something like that, only have one hamburger. But then there's like 10 people who have a handful of hamburgers. And there's 5 people who have like 5 or 10 hamburgers. And then there's a small handful of people who have like 100 hamburgers or 1,000 hamburgers. if we say that we need to there's 10 people maybe who don't have any hamburgers at all. I know I didn't add up perfectly, but I think you're following anyway, right? Like
no, you got it.
We have this distribution where there's like a small number of people who have lots of hamburgers. A bunch of people really only have enough hamburgers to feed themselves. And then there's some people who don't have any hamburgers. And if we're going to try to fix this by taxing people's hamburgers, what makes more sense? Going around with a knife and cutting 20% off of everybody's one hamburger? Or just taking all the hamburgers that we need to feed the poor people who don't have any hamburgers from the people who have too many to eat?
Yeah, I know what you're asking there. I think you know my answer, and I'm not going to say it because people won't like it.
I mean, I ask people, I mean, what do you mean? You're just saying that you still want to, you do want to go around with a knife and slice off 20% of all the poor people's hamburgers? Is that what you're saying? I
believe everybody should be taxed the same percentage. I do.
I think that makes you a bad person. If you understand it as well as you do,
you think I'm a bad person?
I think that makes you obviously a bad person.
Oh well, I disagree with that. Everybody always has a choice to go work, option to work.
I think that's a privileged position. I think that a lot of people work really, really hard, and then taxes hurt them unnecessarily compared to a rich person. When we could make society better. We could distribute those hamburgers a little bit more fairly. Is the person who has 1,000 hamburgers, if we take half of their hamburgers, that might be enough to feed everybody. If they do they end up any more hungry at the end of the day?
I think I mean, when you make money, you're always hungry. You got to people are always hungry to make more to keep earning. So why do they have to?
My concern in my example,
why do they have to give their hard-earned dollars away? Because their job helps the environment stabilize.
You keep saying hard-earned as though people who are ultra-wealthy necessarily work that much harder than people who aren't, and I think that that's not true. I think you're misguided about that completely, which is another reason why I think it'd be, it's more fair to take a larger percentage from people like that. I struggle to make the leap to say that you both understand this and are a good person. I think that those things are incongruent with what you're asserting about how we should tax people.
No, I understand, and I agree to disagree. I think
that you're selfish.
Two sides to everything.
I think that you're and we're discussing our two sides, and I think that the reason I think that you're selfish. But even if you're selfish, you should still think of it in a better way, because if you're a person who's poor, your likelihood of becoming wealthy is increased by the government taxing wealthy people more than poor people, because you get to keep more of your hard-earned income on your way up to becoming wealthy. You recognize that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so why shouldn't we do that?
Like I said, I've kind of answered that question already. I don't know if either one of us will I don't think either one of us is going to switch sides. So if there's another topic we could discuss.
I just want to understand this a little bit better. So here's an example. There are some countries that have scaled speeding tickets and things like that, like fines, because if you have a fine for something that's like, a famous example is that Jeff Bezos has these, I think it's Jeff Bezos. It doesn't matter which billionaire it is. He has hedges in front of his house that are way too tall. They're like, they violate like a city ordinance or something. But the fine for having hedges too tall is like $50 a month or something inconsequential. So he just pays the fine every month because he's rich. Whereas if somebody who's poor has hedges that are too tall, that $50 a month is going to hurt. And maybe they need to hire somebody to trim their bushes because maybe they're not able to do it themselves. They don't have the tools or the skills, or they're not able-bodied or something like that. And suddenly they have to I have to pay a bush guy $250 to get my hedges under control, and that's going to take 5 months to be worth it. Maybe they can't afford that $250, so they end up just having to pay the fine. Right. The fine is unfair in that sense because Jeff Bezos can just pay it, but it really hurts a poor person in a way that's only hurting them more because they're poor. Do you think the laws in our country should hurt poor people more than they hurt rich people?
No, but I generally don't think that they do either.
I just described a way in which they do.
You did, but there's one way. But I mean, rich people get in trouble. You see rich people like money, more problems. I do believe that's a thing. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean by that, I think.
Yeah. Also, more money, more solutions, though, and that's what money is used for.
That is true. Money can solve a lot of problems.
Right. So Jeff Bezos's
freedom is a big thing.
Jeff Bezos's solution might be that he just pays the fine. The poor person's solution might be that
my health insurance is paid for by the company I work for. So yeah, you are correct.
the person who can't afford the guy to fix the hedges so that they don't have to pay the fine, maybe they have to eat less food that month in order to get the hedges taken care of. Why do you think that's fair?
I'm sorry, I was reading the comments. Would you repeat that?
Eyes up here, buddy. Come on.
Sorry, it's my first time doing this.
Forgive me for being snappy, but you're being kind of rude to poor people, and I want to understand it. That I think it's unfair that
I'm not rich by any means. I'm not rich either, so...
I believe the chat's probably right that you delusionally think you have a chance of becoming such a person. In fact, I'm going to read out a $5 super chat that says just that, because Alon, sorry, I can't read your username, says caller really thinks he will be one of them one day. That's why he's saying all of this. He has a delusion of being a billionaire. Yeah, I just think that you're more likely to become very wealthy and have the sort of life that I imagine you're dreaming about if we had a tax policy that didn't make life so fucking difficult for poor people. Do you know what like social mobility is?
Explain it to me.
Broadly, it refers to a person's ability to change classes. So it can be about money, or if social hierarchy is important to you, it can be about...
Are you talking like middle class, upper class, lower?
Yeah, the likelihood of a poor person becoming a middle class person, then becoming a wealthy person. The type of tax policy I'm sitting here defending to you is a tax policy that increases social mobility. It makes you more likely to get out of poverty. It makes you more likely to get out of the middle class and become upper class.
Okay, yep.
You don't think that's a good thing?
I think it can be good and bad.
In what way would that be bad?
I think we're just arguing. I'm not even arguing because you seem like a respectful guy.
I mean, you are being respectful, and
one of the main I don't know. I'm gonna switch subject just a little bit here. I'll give you the win on that one. You beat me. You were over. Yeah.
It's not about beating you. It's
I know. So another thing is sometimes the other side of the parties don't realize that although I don't like Donald Trump, okay, but at the same time, do I for where I live in the United States and what I do, was he the best option, best candidate for me?
Okay.
And at that time, yes, he was. So some people need to realize I support Trump for because he's the best candidate for me.
Well, this gets back.
I don't support him as a person or this gets back sometimes he stands for.
This gets back to the same argument I had about the previous thing, which I don't need to drag that up. You gave me the W on it, which I think, I don't know. It doesn't sound like I actually did convince you, and that's really what the W I'm after when I'm talking, especially to somebody who's as cordial as you're being in this conversation. But I'll say the same thing about that, which is that there's two reasons why you shouldn't vote for a president who's good for the person that you happen to be today. And one of them I think is probably not going to work on you, but it's the important one for me, so I'll say it first. Which is that it's just shitty to not consider all the other people. He's everybody's president. We should pick a president who's going to do a good job for people on average, not one that's going to do a good job for me, just because I just think it's shitty to make decisions that affect so many other people only in consideration of yourself. Because walking through life like that, you're a menace. People don't, that doesn't make society better to behave that way. And we want everybody to behave in the other way, such that all the other people behaving in that way do make your life better, and it's a net benefit for everybody. It's hard to get people to be that cooperative, but in a game theory sense, the best strategy is to just get everybody to be nicer to each other, which would have them voting for a president that's good for everybody on average. I don't think, based on what you said about income taxes, that's going to be a very compelling argument for you. Am I correct in thinking that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to the second point, which is what I advertise to callers who have demonstrated themselves to be selfish in the way that you have. You're 23 years old?
22.
22. You don't know who you're going to be in 10 years. You got no idea. So when you say that when you're voting,
I don't know who I'm going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, you don't know what your circumstances could change in a really drastic way that has nothing to do with you. You said you live in an area that's nice. I don't know, man. There could be
no. What I said is I live in an area that I wouldn't say nice. I live in a Midwestern state that does a lot of farming, cattle, and all that stuff. I wouldn't say nice.
Right, but that could change for you tomorrow. Who knows why, right? Like anything could happen. You could get sick with an ailment that's so rare that you need to move states to go find a doctor who knows how to treat it or something like that. Like your life could really catastrophically change in a way that you sitting here right now can't predict. And you might then, through no will of your own, become a person who suddenly the president isn't all that good for. Do you recognize that as a possibility?
I do. Yes.
Right. So it's a little irresponsible to think that you're so likely to stay the person that you are. You're putting all your eggs in one basket on who your president is by picking a president who's good for the type of person that you happen to be today. But the type of person who you are might change. You might have to move states for some arbitrarily unlikely reason, like the ones I brought up. You might find a hobby that you like and find, you know what, nobody in my city does this. I need to go move somewhere where this new passion I've found is really the thing. Maybe you'll get obsessed with playing music and want to move to a place where the genre of music that you play is popular, so that you have a chance of playing live and having fun. Like you're too young to know what your life is going to be like, but you're voting based on the assumption that your life is going to stay the same, which is somebody who's just a few years older than you, I can tell you, is very irresponsible.
Right.
You should vote for a president who's going to serve you no matter who you might end up, because you got a long life ahead of you.
I understand that. And at the end of the day, like, I just kind of I got on here to not specifically debate, but just kind of talk, to have a discussion about it.
Well, again, I appreciate you being cordial, but I've taken in your reasons for voting for Trump, and I'm just giving my candid response to them, which is that I think that what you're doing is both selfish.
Well,
that was the first reason I gave, and it's also short-sighted.
I didn't vote for Trump, but I voted for Vivek Ramaswamy.
Okay, then we can have a further conversation about how I do think it's not wise to vote third party in a presidential election. Past the primaries.
No, you're probably right. It's kind of I don't know if your main argument is going to be it's a waste of a vote, which it probably was.
I think that it's a shame that our country doesn't value third-party votes. We have a new system that we're using in some places that makes third-party votes more valuable. Are you familiar with ranked choice voting?
I'm not, no.
I'll explain to you how ranked choice voting works in the context of the presidential election, which we don't have ranked choice voting for. If we had ranked choice voting, a third-party candidate could run with the other two, and somebody like you, who wants Vivek Ramaswamy to be president, can put him as their first choice. You can say, I want him, but if he doesn't win, please give my vote to Kamala Harris, or please give my vote to Trump, or whoever it's going to be. That way, you still get to try your darndest to get as many votes for that third-party candidate as you can, but if it doesn't work out, you don't throw your vote away. You get to default to a different candidate. That's a little bit of an oversimplification, and there's multiple W in the chat for Scout for crashing the show. It's more complicated than that. There's more rounds to it. But bottom line, it's a mechanism by which a third party voter doesn't have to throw their vote away. Are you understanding?
I am, yep.
Yeah. So my thing that I say to third-party voters is you shouldn't vote for third-party candidates. You should vote for candidates that are going to create ranked choice voting options in all levels of politics. And the only party that, one, has a chance of winning major elections in this country, and two, has any chance of doing exactly what I just said, happen to be the Democrats right now. It's the Democrats that are pushing third-party voting.
You probably agree with me on this. I don't think a third party will probably ever win the presidential.
But a third party could win in a presidential election if we had ranked choice voting. Not in the first year that it would happen, but people are so averse to throwing their vote away that third party candidates can't build any momentum. What I would expect is if we had third party voting, if we had ranked choice voting that allowed third parties to grow, we'd have a normal presidential election where it's 40 or 50 something percent for the Democrats, 40 or 50 something percent for the Republicans. And then there'd be a small percentage of people who put some independent, Vivek Ramaswamy or whoever it is, doesn't matter, puts them as their pick for their first vote. So they get 3% of the vote or something. But that 3% then gets split up and it goes to Trump and Harris based on what those voters put as their second choice. So those voters still got to participate in the final decision between a red and a blue candidate. The election after that person has spent another 4 years trying to say, hey guys, I'm a third party, but I really want my third party ideology to take the main stage. Maybe they've developed more popularity. Instead of 3 or 4%, maybe they get 6 or 7% the next time through. And this allows a process where a third party can grow in popularity without people having to face this dilemma. I, as a voter, would love to vote for some people who aren't Kamala Harris or Donald Trump or characters like them. I'd love for some third-party ideologies to take center stage, but I'm not going to sacrifice the fucking Constitution in the case of Harris versus Trump, because Harris followed the Constitution and Trump didn't, so that's why I voted for her fundamentally. Lots of reasons, but that's the big one. I'm never gonna throw the Constitution under the bus to increase the popularity of a third party candidate who isn't gonna win anyway. But I can do both with ranked choice voting. Are you following that?
I'm following that. Yep.
So you should vote for candidates that promote ranked choice voting, and that's the Democrats.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You know, it's just...
I mean, just in terms of you getting what you want, because there's like I respect somebody who votes third party more than I respect somebody who votes Republican. I do just think that it is a waste of a vote as a matter of fact in most elections to vote for a third party candidate. So I'm offering a path forward where it isn't, and you can actually hope to get what you want in the course of American politics, which you've got a real vested interest in. You could be alive for 100 more years if modern medical science keeps improving. You care about this stuff long term. We could have a third-party president in 20 or 30 years, maybe. I don't know. But it's not going to happen if we don't get ranked choice voting, ranked choice voting to get there. So I think you should like really consider practically like what's a way that we can actually get from American politics what you want, instead of just ceremonially casting a vote that isn't going to count in the final recounts.
People, I'm sorry. I let my eyes wander again. They said this guy will never vote Democrat. I actually am voting for a Democrat for our governor here in the next election. So, because he's a better candidate, and I listen to him, and he has better policies, and he's a better candidate than the other guy. So, I am voting for a Democrat. So they're wrong there.
Okay, well, chat can be wrong, and it's it sounds like you do value a reasoned position on politics. Mm-hmm. I just think that right now voting third party in major elections is an unreasonable thing to do if you care about the outcome of that election.
Yeah. No, I understand, and you're a lot more educated than I am about all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So at the same time, it was just good to hop on and just chat a little bit about it, and it's a lot easier to talk to you than if I were I would never go on a call with that Dean Withers or Parker, whatever his name is.
I don't know Parker's last name, but I mean, I'm me. You're talking to me, and I think that with somebody like you, it sounds to me like you're misguided about how some of this stuff works. It sounds to me like you're a little bit selfish.
I don't think I'm selfish. I just don't think I'm educated enough to, how do you say, make to full on make decisions. My decisions are definitely influenced by how I grew up and who I grew up around, which sure. You talk to a lot of people, and that's, in the case of a lot of people, that's how it happens. You're influenced by the people around you and how you grew up.
Yeah, I think that there's been a couple points in this conversation where I've made some sense to you, though, and you're a little, you seem to fall back on this like, oh, well, I didn't really call into debate, or this is just a conversation. But at the end of the day, it is a debate. We are talking about things that we disagree about. You've said your piece on a couple of things. I've said my piece on a couple of things. And I think that the task for you is if somebody makes sense to you, if somebody makes an argument that lands with you, you should take that in. You should let that affect your worldview, because people make arguments to me that are compelling. Sometimes I've changed my mind on the odd thing, gotten better educated about a certain thing, changed my mind over time. Sometimes I think a policy is good, and then a few years go by and I go, oh no, the circumstances have changed. I don't think that's a good policy anymore. Maybe that means it wasn't going to be a good policy in the first place because it wasn't going to be lasting if things changed so catastrophically that I no longer think it would be a good policy. And I can be self-critical about all that. But all that's really kind of minutia. We're talking about some big stuff here. We're talking about the fact that, I mean, I can read this $2 YouTube super chat that says, can caller explain flat versus progressive tax? And that's from Adrian. Thank you for the $2, Adrian. Can you? Do you know the difference between a flat and a progressive tax?
Isn't flat tax like where everybody pays the same amount? The same percentage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what you're promoting. But we talked about that a lot earlier.
Right.
But I guess I just didn't hear your rebuttal. It sounds to me like you understood the good arguments I made for it, but then we just kind of stopped talking about it. We didn't. And then, one of the things on that is the selfishness. There's another $2 YouTube super chat from Carl.
Jeans Girl 88. Yes, I am. I am voting for Rob Sand for Iowa.
Carl sent me a $2 YouTube super chat to say, as taught in preschool, make empathy great again. Mega. Because I think you should be more empathetic to all the people who are affected by your voting decision, because it's frustrating that there are a lot of people, this predicament we're in where the president isn't following the Constitution, is doing a bunch of awful stuff. It could have been prevented by more people voting for Harris instead of not voting at all, because they were just disillusioned. I'm not going to find the word. They were disenchanted or whatever about voting, or they felt disenfranchised by not having a third-party candidate. That's the other thing. If you vote for a third-party candidate, you didn't affect that outcome. Those people could have swung the election for Harris, and we wouldn't be in this thing. I wasn't looking for disenfranchised. Disillusioned is maybe the word I was looking for. Thank you, Squams. People became apathetic. People are finding some good words in the chat. So, and if that's a voter like you, I mean, do you recognize it's a constitutional emergency what's going on with Trump?
I do.
Yeah, he's breaking the rules, man.
He's been breaking the rules his whole life. I know.
Yeah, lifelong con man. You know, you've been getting civil suits left and right through the whole time. You know, bankrupting businesses, getting sued for being racist, for not renting to tenants, saying.
No, I understand. I think if he wasn't president, he would probably be in jail right now.
Yeah. I mean, there were charges dropped because of recent law changes that made it so that you can't charge the president with certain things. So when he became president, a bunch of his charges magically disappeared that he probably would have gone to prison for.
Right.
Corrupt. Especially when it's judges he appointed who ruled on those things. So
no, it's just, I think politics is just screwed up in the United States. So,
well, it is. But I don't want you to be one of those disillusioned voters. You can make a difference. Your vote matters, and it's a bunch of people like you whose vote matters, who could have done more with their vote if they recognized some of these things about the way this very broken system works. Because I think you and I agree. You didn't know about ranked choice voting, but I have sold you on that.
After you explained it,
yeah. You understand it, and that's great, right? That makes sense, right? New York elected Mamdani with ranked choice voting. I don't recall the outcome of the election, so I don't know if it actually made the difference for him that the second choice votes added up for enough for him to become the mayor. But the point is, there's a path to more progressive ideologies in politics, and when I say progressive, I don't necessarily mean far left, like that type of progressive. I just mean alternative, third party positions. Just people who want change for the country that they're not getting because we can't elect a third party. It sounds like I've sold you on that. But the other side of that coin is that until we have it, the only thing we can do in order to affect that long-term outcome for politics is vote for candidates, heavily weigh the fact that the Democrats are the ones that want ranked choice voting. Because I don't think anybody should be a single issue voter where it's like, oh, I'm only going to vote for people who want ranked choice voting, even if they're a rapist or even if they're an unconstitutional monster or whatever it is. I'm more reasonable than that. But you should just in general really value ranked choice voting as an independent voter. In terms of what your perspective on all of this is, I do just have to point out that that's your political identity. That's what you spent your vote on. But you don't understand. You showed up being ignorant to what is arguably the most important piece of policy for any third party voter to be aware of and consider, which is third party voting. Or I keep calling it third party voting, ranked choice voting.
Right. I know what you meant right there.
I'm not going to dunk on you for being for being uneducated about that. When I say you're ignorant of that, I literally just meant you weren't aware of it. But now you are. And I think that that's maybe something to look into for voting. Now, I don't know if there are any candidates in Iowa who are going to be pushing a ranked choice thing. This is kind of a long-term thing in politics that we'd have to look at. But there's a bunch of different angles about this emergency we're in with Trump. We just need to get some politicians elected who obey the Constitution. And, Trump's going to finish his term or die or whatever's going to happen. But we whether he survives the term or not, or tries to run a third time, which would be unconstitutional, none of that really matters. The problem is that we have the Republicans training their voters to vote for people who believe in some ideology that's party specific instead of the country. We need people who support the Constitution and support the system working so that it matters what we vote for. It stops mattering what we vote for if the people we elect don't value the rules.
Right.
Because they just get to do whatever they want. The Republicans have learned, okay, we can just do whatever we want as president. As long as Congress doesn't impeach us, we're fine. And Trump is the center of the cult of personality, so he gets to do whatever he wants. And the only reason he hasn't been impeached is because there are Republicans in the legislative branch whose job it would be to convict him if he was impeached, who just aren't going to because they're not loyal to him. They put their party over their country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, you make really good points. Points that I can't. That like you said, I would definitely need to read and educate myself more to actually have a better debate with you and to talk to you more. But you make very good points. And like I said, my mind's always open. You know, I'm always open to change. But at the end of the day, I'm going to vote for the best candidate that I think is going to be best for me. Could I be wrong? Yeah, 100% I can be wrong, you know. But the crappy thing is that after you put in your vote, you can't take it back.
Yeah, I mean, if you regret your vote, that's fine. I mean, it's kind of a separate argument to everything else we were talking about, but we did bring it up earlier. I would just still urge you not to vote for the person that you are. You should imagine that you just at the roll of a dice become any random person in the country, and if you're going to wake up being any random person in the country tomorrow, cast a vote that you're comfortable with going into that state of affairs.
Right, and that's a good point. That's a very good point to make. So, yeah.
Yeah, I
mean, you got any more people requesting to join you?
No, well, the queue's empty. I thought you were asking if I have anything more for you, because I feel like I've given you lots to chew on, and I don't want to pile on.
You know, I'll take it, digest it, think about it, and
yeah, I would love for you to call back, you know, later.
Yeah. I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, I'm Trump. You know, give me a truck with an American flag on the back so I can squeal my tires driving downtown. I'm not one of those guys. I'm open-minded.
Yeah, you didn't sound like to me like one of those callers, because lots of people take everything I say and just throw it away immediately. They call it, you know, a bunch of liberal nonsense or whatever. But if I've given some stuff for you to think about, then that's, you know, that's a real win for me. That's the type of W I'm really after on this show, is for you to just consider some of the broader, you know, ways of thinking about this that I think are important.
Yeah, no, and I agree with your flag in the background too. So.
Yeah, they don't follow the Constitution, those ICE agents.
Oh, they don't.
Fuck them for that.
They're overpaid and...
overpaid and undertrained.
Exactly. Well, they're dropout cops is what I call them. Couldn't pass the academy, so...
Yeah, not brave enough for the military, not smart enough to be a cop, become an ICE agent. Yeah. Well, on that, I do have somebody else in the box, so we can leave on that common ground.
For sure. Hey, you have a good one, sir. Have a good one.
Appreciate you. W's in the chat for the guest. Here, I'll take one more call, or maybe 10 more calls. I don't know. I've got some time today. Let's see what I feel like doing. But before I bring Joe Box up into the request box, I will just remind everybody that the show is run on donations. So if you want to send me some donations, there are ways to do that in the link tree in my bio. Because this is my full-time job now, and it's working out, but it's got to keep working for me to keep doing this. Joe Box, is this going to be a debate, or is it friendly time? Joe Box shall decide.
Hello, how's it going, Oscar? I've talked to you before.
Yes. Forgive me for not remembering, but how old are you?
I'm 43. I'm a Democrat in name only. I'm in California. And I wanted to ask you, I get frustrated with these other panels. As a Democrat, sometimes I vote Democrat, sometimes I vote third party. But I get so pissed at other groups that say, like, oh, by voting third party, you're voting for Trump. No, that's a non-fallacy argument. You vote your philosophy and how you feel till the end of time, until the end of the millennia, if you feel like it. That's my opinion. Sometimes I vote Democrat on a local level. Other times I vote third party. But what's your opinion as far as voting third party as a way to move the Overington window? I know I abuse that term so much, but I'm just angry at the corporate Democrats compared to the progressive Democrats. You know what I'm saying? Because
let's establish for the audience what the Overton window is, because I know what the Overton window is, but not everybody does. The Overton window is the region along the political spectrum that is considered to be acceptable, because we can have far right ideologies like, I don't know, some people think that we should deport all people who aren't white or something like that, something crazy like that. And that's outside of the Overton window. That's not an acceptable thing for people to talk about in a pleasant conversation. Like, and you get ostracized for having that sort of opinion. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got some far left ideologies that are maybe a little unpalatable to most people at the dinner table, like the fact that we should overthrow capitalism as a whole system. You know, we have the leftists on to talk about that sometimes. I agree with them on some of that stuff, but it's a little extreme to say that we should just like actually eat the rich, like torches and pitchforks style. That's a little bit outside the Overton window in the other direction, but there's this area in the middle where people are able to talk about it without, for example, getting deplatformed off of TikTok, which is something that I have to worry about. So that's the Overton window. And I agree with you that voting third party pushes the Overton window because it gives attention to those third party ideologies, which are often maybe a little bit outside of the Overton window. The thing I was arguing to the previous caller, and the thing I argue all the time about it, is that you can move the Overton window faster if you get ranked choice voting established. And along the way, that's why I think that you should I don't say you should absolutely only vote for Democrats that are going to push for ranked choice voting, because I'm not an absolutist when it comes to voting like that, but you should weigh it fucking heavily as an independent voter. And that might mean that the independent vote is actually a blue vote, because it's going to get what the independents need to move that Overton window faster.
So, yeah, man, that's what I'm thinking. That's why I vote third party, because the next time an election pops around, the local Democrats get scared in their boots a tiny bit, and then they change their rhetoric to be a little bit closer to universal health care, higher minimum wages, longer maternity leave. I'm trying to aim us to be at a bare minimum closer to Sweden. I get it. Sweden is taxed more, but you get more bang for your buck when you have universal health care instead of, for-profit Blue Cross that is a rapacious middleman. So... Yep. I don't know. I hope we can get the orange turd out of office this coming up, but I just don't appreciate it when certain Democrats in other forums say, "Oh, you're an evil jerk if you vote third party." It's like, no, vote your conscience your entire life. I don't know. I just wanted to vent about that, but yeah.
Well, I appreciate the frustration, because it must be shitty to have the thing that you're really focused on in politics just not be allowed to get main stage. And I suppose I'm in a pretty similar place as a person that's farther left than most establishment Democrats are. But that's why
I'm left too.
Yeah, I don't identify as a leftist. I think the line I've been settling on is that the leftists are mad at me for being a liberal and the liberals are mad at me for being a leftist, which just demonstrates where somewhere in the middle I must be on that blurry line between the two. But I definitely care. Like I value what the leftists are after. I think that my approach is too pragmatic within the confines of American politics for them to consider me a proper leftist, because I value things like getting ranked choice voting in place so that some of these more left-leaning ideologies can make it to the main stage.
Exactly. And states like Maine actually instituted ranked choice voting on a state level, and that's a Republican state. So by talking about these things, it's not about third parties actually winning. It's about scaring Republicans and Democrats to at least change their tune in certain areas. And then that allows you the next election to vote Democrat, because, finally the Democrat is talking the things I want to hear. He used to not talk those things 8 years ago, and now he's finally talking the things I want to hear from him saying. So that's my, you know what I'm saying? It's prodding people with a stick and getting them to nudge the right direction. So.
Yeah, I think you and I align a lot probably then. I think. I guess the thing that tends to be the point of disagreement with somebody like you is I do just think it's so catastrophically important that we have a blue wave in the midterms for the fire we're fighting right now. That's just massively important.
Yeah, I just hope we can get rid of this guy, because we need to stop the wars. I even heard the Republicans in the Senate are like, restrict Trump's war powers, because he's so kowtowing to Israel that it's dangerous, and we may have him impeached. Hopefully, even the Republicans may want to impeach him because he's gone too far. So.
If the only path to an impeachment, I think realistically. Well, to be clear, he's probably going to get impeached after the midterms, because I think that the Democrats are going to win the House, and the House votes on whether or not to do an impeachment. And I bet you get this, caller. I'm just giving some background for the audience members who might not understand that once the impeachment happens, that's handled by the Senate, and then it's the 2/3 of the Senate that need to convict him in order to get him removed from office. And there's no fucking chance that the Democrats are going to win that many seats in the Senate in the midterms. So what I expect to happen is that he'll get impeached after the midterms, but it won't go through. He won't get convicted because the Republicans are just going to plug their ears and pretend he's not violating the Constitution. I think the only thing that could result in a conviction is if a big chunk of the Republicans in the Senate dissent against the rest of the Republicans and vote for the impeachment to be a conviction, which I will point out, was it three or four Republicans voted to release the Epstein files? That's the sort of dissent that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But there's something like 14 seats or something like that need to be made up to get the 67 votes necessary to convict Donald Trump in an impeachment proceeding. I don't think that that's probabilistically likely at all, but I do think that there's value in the public discourse that exists around an impeachment proceeding. It will force him to answer to some of the things that he's done in front of the public, and I think that that's very valuable.
Okay. Anyway, I'll let you talk to someone else, but I just wanted to speak my piece. So keep it up, Oscar. You're a good guy.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you hopping up, and I'll thank Jen, who's one of our mods over. Well, Jen's a mod everywhere, but she sent a $2 YouTube super chat just to say, new YouTube mods, welcome to the team, because I did add some people to the YouTube moderation team as things grow over there. Because I got to remind everybody, I cannot do this show by myself, so we got to have W's in the chat for the mods. They do fact checking. They warn me about the guests if the guest is a known caller. They do a bunch of background stuff during the show that makes it easier for me to run it. There's like a Discord chat open where they alert me of stuff going on. There's like an ever-growing team of people who run this show. I'm more and more each day just becoming the talent. I'm just, and yeah, I run the show. I don't have like a production assistant sitting on the other side of the room. But I might soon. There's talks of that because especially as I expand, I want to get the show broadcast on more platforms. I want to get on Twitch. I want to get on like Kick and stuff. But it's becoming a technical challenge where every time I add a new, like even just adding YouTube as a secondary stream was like a whole mess of workload that got added. But I'm getting pretty comfortable with not, fucking that up. But I want to expand the Oskar Quentin platform to everything else. And I guess we might be wrapping up unless we get another caller. So stay double tapping away on the screen over on TikTok if you want somebody else to hop in, and maybe we can run a really long show. But I will just say I'm getting to that place where this show makes enough money for me to pay for my life, and I have some debts that I think I should pay just as a 30-year-old person. So I gotta decide how much of my income I want to spend on that. I just gotta be financially responsible. I gotta put together an emergency fund that's of a suitable size for a person whose income is at the whim of like TikTok or people strangers on the internet. But because the show is doing a pretty good job of paying for my life, like doing this full time is going well so far. Like I need to start talking about what's going to happen with the more money that this show makes, because a lot of people are against the pocket watching. A lot of streamers don't ever even acknowledge the fact that all these gifts and donations are just money going into their pocket, which is fine. I don't judge them for that. But in terms of how I run it, I just want to be more straightforward with my audience about the fact that I'm sitting here like now able to do the math on what some of these bigger streamers make. Don't need to name anybody, but there's some people doing this exact format of content who make positively stupendous amounts of money, which is great. Good for them. I'm not going to judge creatives for out there, getting out there and doing their thing and making it. But I just want to do more. The thing I immediately want to get focusing on is getting a little bit of money together for travel, because I'd love to be in New Jersey at Delaney Hall, fighting the good fight out there. And I have some infrastructural stuff. Like I've been really averse to investing in the show. Like I'm still using a 15-year-old webcam. Might get a new one for tomorrow because I have a friend who has a better one that they're gonna give me. But like there's like these minor investments that I've been really like reticent to make, because I want to make sure that I'm secure. I want to make sure my life is paid for. But then I want to really do the problem solving of answering the question, how can I turn the revenue that this show makes into the most good for what the mission statement of the show is, which is to spread awareness about this stuff and get more people involved in politics in a way that's reasonable and not fueled by hatred and bigotry and misogyny and all that terrible stuff. So people who watch me a lot can just make your own judgment call about whether or not I'm being honest when I say that, because at the end of the day, it is all just money that goes into my pocket. Like I have full administrative control over this project. I own 100% of it. A lot of people volunteer their time, as I was saying. I want to honor the work those people are doing. I want to honor the audience that's let me get to this point. So I've got bigger plans than just like, lifestyle inflating. I'm not really looking for anything like nice in my life. Maybe a slightly more relaxed life than I've been living. I want to go camping a little bit this summer. And I do need a new acoustic guitar. My acoustic guitar is a piece of shit. But that's also a purchase I can just justify because I make money playing music. So that I don't even have to think of that as coming out of doing this show. But you guys made it to the end of a longer stream than usual, so I just wanted to take a moment to talk openly about that a little bit, because I think it's for what I'm trying to do, I think the right approach is to be this type of transparent. I respect that maybe isn't the right approach for every streamer or activist or debate host or whatever. But that's the update. The show makes enough money. But, you know, I don't have a big enough emergency fund to feel very confident about 2 weeks from now or a month from now and say that it's going to keep doing that. So I will keep urging people to you know, support what I'm doing. Indigo just sent me another $20 to say, I support you. You help make the world better. If I'm convincing you that I'm doing that, like, I'm super honored by that, because I am trying to make the world better. I'm trying to have a little fun along the way. The show has to be entertaining. I do like doing this. It is fun. I am taking advantage of it for my own benefit in some ways beyond just making money. Like, it's exciting that I can post a stupid video of me playing a little guitar and it'll get 5 or 10,000 views just because I have a big platform. So, like, thank you, Indigo. Thank you for the $20. $20 closer to whatever's next, right? As long as the dollars that come in outpace my cost of living, that'll keep staying true. So that's what I'm gonna try to do. People are talking about mutual aid. Yeah. Well, beyond getting my life paid for, there are just things I want to raise money for, like things that are not involved with me that I want to support. So we can talk about doing like mutual aid type fundraisers and stuff. But I am going to wrap the show because the request box is empty. Thanks everybody for making it to the end. I appreciate you so much. 10 to 12 Central Time here on TikTok and YouTube for now. Other platforms soon. Today is Sunday, and the plan for everybody is that next Sunday will be the first evening stream that will be like a news roundup and kind of like dedicated friendly time, and then that will become a members only stream just for the people who, you know, pay something monthly to be a part of what we're doing, just to chat with me on their own. So that's in the works. I have an in real life friend who's working on doing some of the back end stuff, and if you're on the Discord, you know who that is. So the goal, no promises, because it's hard to make promises when you're an influencer and your life is chaotic. The goal is to start that up next Sunday to do. We haven't set an exact time or anything, so you know, you can wait for the details on that. But the number of people who pay monthly is grown to the point where I want to offer them something for it. So when am I on next? 10 a.m., 22-ish hours from now, closer to 21 because we ran long today. 10 to 12 Central Time, YouTube and TikTok. Links in the link tree in the bio. Thanks everybody for the support. W's in the chat for Scout on the way out the door because she's gonna insist that I pet her instead of ending the stream. Okay, Scout, let me turn the stream off. Goodbye, TikTok. Goodbye, YouTube.